my business so humongous, you would think that heaven's in there. Damn man, I'm all that, yeah, I'm all that. Looking for that whip, yeah, that what you call that. I'ma blow up in the summer, have them yelling fall back. And I've always been ahead like an effing ball cap. Man, I came in the game like, whoa. Got a couple chains on me cause I like gold. They told me I'm the best and I told them I know. Cause when I'm in your town, every ticket I sold. Yeah, they saying I'm the man. Facts, bro. Facts, lot of haters. Tell me where they at, though. I'm the new pop, all I do is rap, though. Yeah. Want me on your song, throw a couple stacks, yo. Woo. Everybody wanna do the same thing. Yup. That's why we ain't on the same page. No. Do my own thing, and I maintain. Woo. Flow like water, so I'm going mainstream. I'm going mainstream. Flow like water, so I'm going mainstream. Yeah, I'm going mainstream. Flow like water, so I'm going mainstream. I'm going mainstream. Mainstream. Flow like water, so I'm going mainstream. Yup. I'm going mainstream. Damn. Flow like water, so I'm going mainstream. So I'm going mainstream.
And welcome back to Xbox Infinite, another episode 22. It has been a massive week, and we are not going to mess around this week. Sorry, I'm late. I am a father, and my baby decided to spew everywhere, so that required cleaning up. But enough of that. And we'll move straight into the introduction of the guest. Doom, Cutie, welcome to the show. First time appearing. It's great to have you here. Just let people know, what you've been playing, where you're from, what you're up to.
The victim keeps asking why.
Hey, thanks for having me. Yeah, I'm Doom Cutie. Actually, recently I've just finished off Lego Star Wars, so I'm actually really happy with that. But mostly I play. My goal this year is actually to be better at first-person shooters. So I have been playing a lot more Halo. I don't play COD, just so you know. I'm a variety streamer, but this I don't know, I work full time, so I don't get to
wild and dark and weird.
But yeah, thanks so much for having me. It's wonderful to be here.
Oh, it's awesome to have you here. And as always, the panel, welcome back. I'm going to race through these today because there is so much that we have to talk about this week. It's been massive. So JediKnightPete, welcome back to the show. How you been, man? I know you had a bit of a rough week, and you didn't get to play too much. But what have you been playing? Apparently, I already play Halo, by the way. So if you've only played Halo, that's absolutely fine.
Yeah, Yeah, I'm good, mate. I'm up to the final boss in Elden Ring. I've been taking it really slow because I've found that I don't actually want to finish the game because it's so good. But as usual, I've been playing Halo. I haven't gamed that much this week, but yeah, that's about it, mate. Looking forward to getting into this, especially with the announcement of what is the equivalent of E3, the Xbox Bethesda showcase.
Oh, it's going to be a great
Can't wait, mate. Cannot wait.
Jack, welcome back. How was your week? What have you been up to? I know that I actually haven't seen you on. You've been shadow gaming. You've been PlayStation gaming on Xbox, which is basically hiding from everyone.
His body is gone.
What have you been playing? What have you been up to?
Yeah, believe it or not, I've been playing. I just dove into it, the modernized version of it for this gen, Control, and I'm loving it. X-Files meets SCP, it's amazing.
Control's a great game, mate.
Oh god, it's fantastic. I'm loving it so much. I've been playing a little bit of Outriders, working through it with our boy Umbra here. And there's just so much to talk about. You know, we're all going to be on so many games very shortly. So, yeah, it's great to be here, chopping it up with you guys. And, yeah, can't wait. Let's go.
I had to go.
Sorry, Risket, there's something wrong with the sound, mate. Michael has said it numerous times in the chat. Is the sound coming through, guys? If you could let us know in the chat, because, yeah, I can't really tell. So, Michael, what's the actual issue, mate?
I don't know. I got it. I absolutely got it. Michael, you're an absolute champion. Appreciate it. I had some issues again. Honestly, guys, don't buy Macs. I had some issues again with some of the video, and yeah, I obviously had the sound on. My bad, but we'll keep moving on to the man with the octaves. Speaking of sound, Umbra, how was your week? What have you been up to? What have you been playing?
Oh man, it's been a wonderful week, right? At least if you're an Xbox fan. Been enjoying the week, man, and the news we've been getting, and I'm hyped as hell to talk about this with you all tonight, especially with our guest Doom Cutie. Welcome. And man, I'm just excited. Otherwise, just playing like Jack pointed out, you know, Outriders, enjoying the hell out of that, and I'm his Padawan right now. He's just walking me through the game and just getting me achievements, so I appreciate the brother. And I'm just ready to talk, and appreciate all you guys in the chat for joining us.
I really appreciated that Star Wars reference.
Look, did you guys hear in the chat? I'm just going to ask you, did you guys hear the intros? If you didn't, I'm going to skip over them anyway. What I've been playing this week, I've been playing a lot of Alan Wake. I've been accused of only playing Halo, which is absolute trite bullshit. I play a lot of games. I mean, you guys see what I play usually on this podcast. I've been playing a lot of Alan Wake. I just finished the Mafia Definitive Edition. Yeah, it's been a good week for me gaming. I've been lucky enough to have someone in the house to help out with the baby, so it's been absolutely amazing for me in the way of gaming. And then this news dropped, and it's about to get even more amazing. Super excited. So we're going to get straight into it. Xbox has dropped its showcase date, which is June 12th.
Yeah, so exciting.
Yeah, it's super exciting. It's this is the showcase. That's going to be the one, I think, that takes us forward into the future, hence the name of the show this week. There's so much to just go through and to speculate on. And there's a lot of games that we're likely to get, some games that we possibly might get, and there's a lot of hopefuls that I would like to see. So I'm going to kick off with what I think we'll see, and we'll go through all that, and then we'll keep moving through the different types of what I think we'll see, what we might see, so on and so forth. So what we'll definitely be seeing, I think, is Hellblade, Starfield, Redfall, 40k Dark Tide. We'll definitely see that. Forza Motorsport, Avowed, Scorn definitely, Plague's Tale definitely. We've got release dates for Scorn. We don't have a release date for Plague's Tale, but we have a rumor that it will be June 17. So, super excited. Pete, in all of those games that we're definitely going to see, what are you most excited for?
Me, it's got to be Fable. I love the Fable series. I really want to see Playground games.
I didn't say Fable.
You didn't say Starfield either.
I did say Starfield, yeah, I did.
Did you?
Yep, Hellblade, Starfield, Redfall.
I think, yeah, Starfield was...
Obviously, Starfield is going to be at the top of the list. And if you look at the poster that they put out, it's all going to be Starfield. If you look at last year's poster, I think they had the picture of the Master Chief as well as the stars in the background. This year, it's just the stars. I mean, that is going to be their big game. But if you want to ask me what I hope to see most, that I'm not sure that's going to be there, it's definitely Fable for me. I mean, I just want to see Playground stretch their legs. I want to see them do something outside of the Forza Horizon series. I mean, they have nailed that down pat, and the Fable series is one of my favorites from way back. So yeah, I cannot wait. And Riskit, shout out to you, mate, because in one of the earlier podcasts, I thought that it would be in the first week of June. You called it spot on, mate. 12th of June. So congratulations, mate.
Yeah. Well, look, it wasn't too hard. I think the last one was at 12th of June as well. I actually didn't know that. That I called it. Someone pointed it out. So shout out to Monad for pointing that out, mate. You're a champion. All the guys in chat, before I move on to anyone else, guys, thank you. Sorry about the sound issues. Welcome to the show. If you're new here, please hit the like button. Please hit that subscribe button. And we'll move on to Doom. What are you most excited to see out of these games that I've mentioned? Hellblade, Starfield, Redfall, 40k Dark Tide, Forza, Motorsport 8, Avowed, Scorn, Plague's Tale. These are guaranteed, I think, that we'll see.
Yeah, the list is just epic. Like, it's so long. Look, like I said, Starfield is the baby. It's going to be absolutely incredible. And, myself, I'm a bit of a science buff. So, anything in regards to space travel, anything with space, I'm just obsessed with.
Me too. If it can be anything like Mass Effect, I'm there.
It's just, yeah, it's incredible. But in saying that, Jedi, you mentioned, Fable. I think, them bringing Fable to almost the next generation of gamers, which I think is going to be really nice.
Yeah, a lot of people wouldn't have experienced it. You're right.
Yeah, definitely. And then, look, Forza. I love Forza, but Motorsport, I don't know. I didn't feel the last Motorsport, so it'll be interesting to see how they, compare it, especially with, their rival Gran Turismo. That'll be interesting to compare those two.
Yeah, it's definitely a simulation game and more of a niche brand. But what I do want to see from Forza is just the graphical power of the Series X. I want to see the X stretch its legs and show what it's capable of. And if anyone can do it, Turn 10 can do it. I mean, all the assets that Forza Horizon have, they basically get, all the car assets they get from Turn 10. And then the enclosed nature, the actual tracks, it's not open world, so you can just really show off that power of the system. And that's what I'm really looking forward to more than actually playing the game, because I'm not that much of a car racing.
And the physics. When you're talking about these guys Turn 10, when it comes to physics, these guys are like top tier.
They nail it.
Yeah.
They nail it.
So it's going to be really interesting to see what they do with physics. And if you get a chance after the show, just go out and check out their dev diary. They were talking a lot about the tyre physics of the cars. And whilst I'm not a massive fan like you, Kitty, I want to see, exactly like Pete said, what this Series X can do. Umbra, what are you most excited for? I know everyone's excited for Fable, but that's impossible. So this is a guaranteed 100%. Hellblade, Starfield, Redfall, 40k, Forza, Motorsport 8, Avowed, Scorn, Plague's Tale.
Well, I mean, if we have
you
to
think
go through
Avowed
that,
is definite? I wouldn't say Avowed's a definite.
Well,
I think Avowed is a definite for sure.
I do too. Yeah.
I hope so.
Outside of Starfield is going to be the star. So there's no need of, I guess, even going over that. I think that's going to be, to me, it's a foregone conclusion that it's going to be spectacular to me. But what I'm most looking forward to, if it isn't certainty, is Fable. I would say Avowed. I really want to see what that looks like. So if I can't focus on Starfield, or if I can't focus on Fable, since there's not a guarantee in our eyes, definitely Avowed. I think that's more than certain to be there.
So you know what I think is actually really interesting is that, this time around, this is the first time that this event has no audience.
Yes.
Yeah, it's all remote.
I think audience makes a really big deal, even if when you're watching at home, that excitement, you can feel that excitement. I think that's what elevated Sony's E3 events over Microsoft's during that really dark time. Just that crowd excitement, it just builds. Although the way that Microsoft did their showcase last year, just by dropping trailer after trailer after trailer, it was fantastic. I just wanted to say that is one of the funniest names I've seen. My left nut is itchy in the chat, mate. That is hilarious, brother.
It is.
I love it, mate. I love it.
Him.
Yeah.
Wait, your left or my left? I'm confused.
You scratch them both just in case. Scratch them both just in case.
Well, you guys are in Australia. Your balls go backwards, right?
Goes the opposite way.
Isn't that how that works?
Oh, they spin their other way. Absolutely. We'll get to you, Jack. Jack, what are you out of that list? What are you most excited to see? I'm pretty surprised that none of you have picked out a certain game, but Jack, what do you think? And then we'll jump to me. I'll let you know what I think is the most exciting. What definitely getting Jack.
Yeah, definitely. So obviously, there's a reason that Starfield is sort of the headliner. Even the art, the graphic is being tailored around this great Starfield. I think, and I've said it a long time, boys, and you're all aware of it. I think that's going to be sort of the game of games. One to rule them all. I'm so excited for that. So I think when you take that out of the equation, insofar as it's a foregone conclusion that that's going to be epic beyond anything we've played. Believe it or not, I would say I'm definitely with Umbra on Avowed because I'm an RPG junkie, but I'm super excited for Redfall. There's just something about seeing your own city overrun by vampire. You know what I mean? I just want to see if it looks any different. Like I just want to see if, and I think somebody was talking to me earlier about it. And I'm like, well, you've clearly, they were wondering if it would be accurate. And I remember thinking, like, well, you've clearly never been to Boston. And I think I said it depends on how many cars they render without hubcaps or stereos, like to see if it's accurate.
Now I'm wondering how the vampires talk then, if that's going to be the case. I think they're like, I'm going to get your blood.
Yeah, obviously.
Don't try to get in the car.
Give me your fucking blood,
Right.
Show me your fucking carotid, yeah, I think I'm very excited actually, because I do love a good co-op experience. So when I see a game like that, and I'm a looter shooter fan, I've Borderlands is one of my favorite franchises, and the way it's being described is sort of being akin to Borderlands. So for me, that's an instant win. So Redfall for me is a big one, and then Avowed. Yeah, I think Fable's in there, but I feel Fable's appearance is a little more speculative, perhaps. I'd love to see it, but I think I'm definitely with Umbra on that one, that it's in the maybe category, so we'll see. But yeah, those are the ones I'm really looking forward to.
Definitely in my hopeful category. I'm surprised that no one mentioned Hellblade. Hellblade has got to be one of those games that I think it might come up for Game of the Year as a contender. I don't think it'll win it.
Ooh, big call.
I don't think it'll win it, but I definitely think
I think it'll open the show with my prediction would they'll open the show with Hellblade and close with Fable.
Yeah. Well, look, I hope Fable's like going to be it's one of my games of all time, Fable. So I hope that they do that. But I don't know, man. This is 50-50. What I am going to say is I'm going to address the elephant in the room, and I'm not talking about my size. I'm talking about what I dropped on Twitter yesterday. Is I really do think that they will be shadow dropping at least one game. I think they kind of have to.
I love it. That's so bold.
Close to the show. I think it'll be close to the show or just after the show in the same month. I'm not going to say it's definitely on June 12th, but I reckon we're going to get Redfall shadow drop
I
that
can't
month
see it happening,
or the
mate.
following month. You don't think they'll shadow drop?
I hope. Yeah, not Redfall. I think Redfall we haven't heard anything from because they aren't ready to show anything. Yeah, unfortunately, just in the environment that we're in. Look, I'm looking forward to it because it's an Arkane studio game, and I love Prey. I love their games. I'm really looking forward to Deathloop. It would be very strange because everyone else is saying that they're going to push it back, so that would push it into the September category, and it would be very strange to see Redfall and Deathloop go head to head. I don't think they do that, which does bode well for your prediction that it will be shadow dropped a little bit earlier to keep them separated, but I just can't see it in this environment, mate. But I hope I'm wrong. I mean, I'd love that.
Every article that I've read about the showcase has mentioned both Redfall and Starfield. So, I mean, I don't know. Bicky, I feel like you might be right.
Yeah.
So you reckon they'll shadow drop it, Doomy? And it'll basically be dropped on us as a bonus for watching the show?
Yeah, I mean, why not? Why not?
I think we're definitely going to get a date. Look, we're definitely going to get that date. That's going to happen.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
It's slated for summer of 2022. I mean, we've only got about a 4-month window anyway, so we really are kind of coming up on 0 hour with that, and we've seen it too. I mean, if they're willing to do it with something like Halo's multiplayer, a flagship game, a flagship IP that's synonymous with the brand, I think Redfall's a little ambitious, but simultaneously, you know, in the back of my mind, I don't see it as entirely outside the realm of possibility. You know, I could see it happening, and I think that just builds my anticipation up that much more.
Yeah, definitely.
You know?
Yeah.
And Dub just gave a great point. He said, "What about a beta for it?"
Yeah.
That would make sense. Yeah.
There should be something. I mean, this is just going to be such an epic show. There's so much going on, and
I
you know,
love how everyone's so excited.
Yeah, I don't like beta drops. I don't like them.
I do too, Jay.
I do. Me and Umbra. I mean, we feel
reinvigorated.
like children, but you know, on Christmas Eve, it's sort of like, you know, we're not going to sleep. We're just
I don't see
It's
them.
on at 4 a.m. in Australia. Australia gets, you know, East Coast Australia. Us normal people on the East Coast, unlike Doomy and Riskit, who are in backwards part of Australia.
The best part of Australia.
Regionalism.
The best part of Australia. What are you talking about? I don't want to change my clock.
Yeah, so it's on at 4 a.m., which is unfortunate. It usually is for us guys down under, unfortunately. What I am, you know, a little bit concerned about is because Xbox had to put a roadmap out there, they had to show what's coming, and has worked really, really well for them in terms of sales and, you know, building up anticipation and building up momentum. I just hope to see something that, you know, out of left field, something that we haven't heard about, you know, something that we don't know about, something that they have hidden in the background. I want to see, like, maybe Project Dragon or
like
what?
In Exiles XP.
Yes, in Exile. Well, he's basically said it's a post-apocalyptic shooter, and in Exile, you know, are fantastic at that. So really looking forward to that. I want to see what Compulsion is doing after We Happy Few, but we sort of know about all these things. I want something that's completely unknown. Maybe the guys that made, what was it, Playdead Games, the guys that made Inside and Limbo. I want to see their next game. Maybe they could put that onto the show. I know it's third party, but they have really good working relationship with Xbox. But that's my only concern from the show. Other than that, yeah, really looking forward to seeing gameplay of Perfect Dark. I love the Perfect Dark series. I'm long time supporter.
That's a bit iffy. I mean, is that just quickly going back to Redfall? I think one thing we can all 110% agree on is that we will not get bad news in a showcase, and they will not delay that game. So I think it's definitely going to come soon.
I think I was just about to say that. I think you're right. I think the PR that would be like the equivalent of walking into a public relations like Claymore. So I think you're right at this point. I think it would be fair to say we can all be at least, you know, relatively optimistic on Redfall meeting that 2020 or that summer window. I mean, if not, you know, right off the bat in the event that you're right. So I think the fact that they've announced this will sort of assuage or allay a lot of these fears of delays, because it's become so much of a troped industry standard at this, right, for a litany of reasons. The pandemic, you know, the potential outbreak of World War III in the case of Stalker and Atomic Heart, you know.
Atomic Heart's a big loss, isn't it? I was really looking forward to seeing that. I mean, everybody wants to see that third-person, over-the-shoulder, narrative-driven game
Soviet
from Xbox.
Bioshock. We want Soviet Bioshock, I think. And that's how I look at it. But I don't. That's how I see it.
Why not get the original then? What about BioShock 4?
We know that
so far points to Sony having marketing for BioShock. We've even heard rumors of exclusivity on Sony's part. I don't think that would happen.
I know. Chat's talking about Killer Instinct.
Yes. He just said Jump said I would die if they announced another Killer Instinct. I think that's a possibility too.
I'll tell you why I think it's a possibility, because the rumor was that Bandai Namco was working on that.
And
we would have heard about it.
We have. Special Nick was talking about that.
Microsoft was shopping for a studio that would be able to develop a fighting game, and if it was just 6 months ago, I don't think it's ready, you know, to be seen. But I'd love to.
Although they can announce it though.
Yeah,
they could announce it though. But I want to point out something. Hey, Jedi, I want to point out something that's interesting, because me and Jack were having a discussion before the show. just about a fighting studio, but we'll talk about it later when it comes.
Yeah, I was thinking of that too. I think though, I mean, in terms of this rumor. I'm no idea, no, but this rumor, this rumor with that coming.
We're not there yet. We're not there yet.
No, I know. I'm talking.
Slow down.
No, I'm talking about the
You gotta get us excited
Killer
first,
Instinct.
man. Take us out to dinner, all that sort of stuff, and then
right. I gotta.
Then you gotta
Gotta meet your father first.
Fuck that, I'm easy, mate.
Yeah.
So everyone knows that, Jedi.
If you get Pete a 6-pack of Victoria Bitter and a pack of Camels,
game over.
You're Gucci.
It is all day. Sorry, Jack. Go back to what you were saying. As long as we're not skipping forward to what's dropped just before the show.
Yeah, no. I wasn't gonna get in. I'm sure we'll talk about that later. But no, this Killer Instinct. It's a rumor that's been sort of like. Very it's pervasive for the last 6 months. It's been like effervescently sort of floating in the ether, and to the point where we know it's happening. If we're talking about like degrees of exclusivity, obviously anybody that would comment on that with any degree of certainty would be full of shit. But that having been said, it's definitely happening. I don't know to what degree that's going to fall, maybe under Microsoft's umbrella, maybe it'll be multi-platform, but it's definitely happening, I think. And I know Umbra's a big fighting games guy. Pete, if I'm not mistaken, you are a little bit too.
I used to be, mate, not so much anymore.
Well, it's definitely an area that Microsoft, at least if you play Xbox, the portfolio is pretty woefully bereft of that kind of title.
Well, not so much that Microsoft doesn't have much. It's just got Sony has got everything, and they're synonymous with fighting brands. Yeah. I mean, Tekken's synonymous with PlayStation, and I think it always has been. And that, I don't know, it's not so much a juggernaut anymore, but it definitely was a juggernaut. Killer Instinct was a great attempt, and people that like Killer Instinct love Killer Instinct and talk about it in such high esteem, but I don't think it's quite at the level of Mortal Kombat, Tekken, these sort of games.
I thought my favorite fighting game, honestly, was Injustice, I think. So I'm not a big
but you're a big superhero fan, mate.
I am, right.
I am too, though. I'm NetherRealm for that reason.
Trying to bring us up to NetherRealm already, mate. Yeah. Slow your roll, brother.
I'm looking at the comments.
Yeah. Absolutely. There is some news that we'll get to a little bit later that dropped just before the show, and we'll talk about that. But at the moment, there's still a lot to unpack with this showcase and what could happen. Who wrote Jason Schreier acts like a dick again in the ticker? That's weird. Had nothing to do with it.
I wonder if you said that. I'm like the only guy he is not blocked, and I can be so inflammatory. That surprises me.
I literally, the dude will block you for like saying hello. Unbelievable.
I'm so surprised, Jack. That doesn't come off at all.
Right? Yeah, I know. I come off as a very well collected, considerate, erudite individual with no, felonious background whatsoever. I appreciate that. Thank you, Doom.
Look, I want to get into the possibles, and I'll run through you guys again individually, but the possibles and the ones we'd like to see, we've already discussed Fable. I think that's high on everyone's list, surprisingly for me, because there's a lot of Americans that I have heard saying that they're not, Fable wasn't their cup of tea, but since this showcase has dropped, everyone's been super excited for Fable. It's very kind of, I wouldn't say niche humor, but it's very regional humor, that game.
It's very British.
Yeah.
British humor is the best humor. I'm sorry. It just is. It always has been.
You're wrong.
I love
Absolutely not. I mean, it's
clearly never been to Boston.
There is
Are you kidding me?
like Monty Python, man. Monty Python is just, it's fantastic. And I love Fable is still looking like it's going that direction. I thought they might have toned it down because of the generation we're in. They seem to be permanently offended. But, yeah.
Not British humor. Not British humor. I don't think they will. Look, guys, just before I do move on, I just want to say, if you're new to the show, please hit that subscribe button. If you guys haven't hit the like button yet, just put that chat away quickly and hit that like button. Share us out amongst your friends. We are talking the Xbox showcase, and we'll be talking that, I think, for a little while. But moving on from Fable, what I would like to see, and I think is almost definite, is Contraband, Indiana Jones. I don't think we'll see State of Decay 3. Of those three, Doom, what do you think? You think we'll see Indiana Jones, Contraband, State of Decay?
I am getting very positive Indiana Jones vibes. Like I love a good
Preach it,
adventure.
sister.
Yeah, it's gonna be amazing, and especially I really do feel like it's a strong avenue for them to go down. But one game that you didn't mention, Outer Worlds 2.
Yeah, I think we're quite a ways out from that.
Yeah.
I don't think we'll see too much of that personally. We can throw it in the mix, but that trailer in the last E3 was absolutely hilarious.
It was. It was
Yeah.
great. It would be
It
crazy
was very
if they showed something.
self-deprecating, and
Yeah, it
they were
was.
very clear. They, the trailer, to the best of my knowledge, ended with, some vaguely, like Kent English accent. We don't even know what to call it. They only have a name. Something to that effect.
That was beautiful, Jack.
I thought it
Yeah.
was great. I agree.
was good.
No, I do. I think, and that's why, as much as I would love, because from all I can tell from what you're telling me, Doom, I'm a huge RPG sci-fi junkie, just like you. I think you and I are very sort of in lockstep on that.
Makes sense.
So I would
It's all
love
three
to
of us.
see Outer World 2. I think that would be fantastic. I enjoyed Outer World. It was like the Saints Row version of a sci-fi game. It's just such slapstick humor, I think. And then, like what Risky was saying, it's a completely different flavor. With respect to something like Fable, where the comedy is it's very British, it's dry, it's cerebral, but it's still very good.
I don't think it's going to be a major thing, but I think definitely there's possibility.
Yeah, it'll be there, and I think it's a good foil. I think to Fable, it's a very American sort of comedy, where everything is just sort of subtly a penis reference, and it's up to you to interpret it. That's typically how we do it.
But
I think that they might want to keep Outer Worlds 2 in the oven a little bit longer, just simply because they didn't get to do everything they wanted to do in Outer Worlds 1. So much of that game was cut due to just not having the money to be able to make the game they wanted to make. They cut out all boss scenes. They didn't put relationships in. Things along that nature. So I think that they'll want to sit on that one a little bit longer.
I agree.
Yeah, but like I said, I think they'll at least release whether it's next year, the following year. I think it will.
I think maybe 2 or 3
if
years.
Obsidian's going to show anything, they're definitely going to show Grounded. I think Grounded might get shadow dropped. Grounded 2.0, and I know that's a very small game, but it's still a really fun game, and I think they'll show Avowed. That'll be the 2 games that Obsidian show. But look, I hope I'm wrong, and I hope we do get to see it, Doom Cutie, because it is a great franchise, and I think they know what they've got there.
I'm wondering though what engine they would use for the Outer Worlds 2. Now that they have id Software and such, I mean, can you imagine it on that? It would look beautiful.
I know.
Oh, I think anything looks beautiful on id Software.
That's true.
That's true. But going quickly back to or shifting around to Indiana Jones, my concern is there was a rumor that it was going first person. I think that is a massive.
Yes, I know.
Massive mistake.
That would be.
That would
Anybody
be
worth their
stupid.
salt would have
You have
to know
a character, You have a character as iconic as Indiana Jones, and you don't get to see him throughout the entire game.
Yeah.
There's just no way they would do that. I mean, exactly.
It's iconic. Come on.
Right, and I don't,
And the whip, of
I don't envision them being in a room at a whiteboard and someone writing first person and not getting laughed out. That to me just seems like that would be right. Like you could imagine that. Like I
The thing
don't see
is,
that happening.
the thing is that's worrisome though. It is machine games, and that's their forte. So that's the only reason why it gives credence to that thought to me. I just
It
hope
was an
it's the case.
interesting choice picking machine games for this
Of all
project,
people.
wasn't it? Yeah,
Right.
it was an interesting choice. But I love the narrative experience in Wolfenstein 1, not so much Wolfenstein 2,
I
because
agree.
they went
I agree.
too out there, if you ask me, the cutting off their head and
I
things
like
like
both.
that.
I like both.
You know what else?
I like the more mature nature of Wolfenstein 1. I love the relationship aspect. I think it was done really, really well. It was impactful. And then when he got to cutting off his head, I think it just got a little bit silly, which I suppose fits in the Wolfenstein world.
Spoilers, Pete. Spoilers.
I mean, this
He
is a
loves
game
it.
that started off.
If you are on a gaming podcast and you haven't played Wolfenstein 2, then stop
Get off your
watching us.
Some people haven't played
and go
Mass
play the
Effect.
game.
Do not stop watching us. Don't
No, do
listen
not
in.
stop watching us. Yes, no, don't watch us.
I just want to talk
Don't
about.
listen to him.
Okay, so I think for the Indiana Jones game, I think the storytelling is actually going to be incredible because it's actually set in Rome.
Yes, and after the
37.
Arkane,
Raiders of the Lost Ark. Straight after Raiders of the Lost Ark. Yep.
Right.
Nice.
And anytime you have something that remotely revolves around Rome or the Vatican, I mean, it opens up just such a number of possibilities.
Yeah.
And I think you're absolutely right,
yeah.
Doom. I think this is an opportunity for Microsoft and Xbox to. I mean, we've seen it with Tomb Raider. Obviously, Lara, she's the GOAT. But I think it's an opportunity to sort of to check Uncharted, and Uncharted is my favorite PlayStation franchise.
Let me ask though. But
Sure,
going
go
back
for
to
it.
that though, because I don't know if Doomy actually answered the 3 that Riz threw at her exactly. Because the original question was between those 3 you named. What was it about? Like you said, which one is she most excited about?
Oh, which one of these do we think we will see? I mean, there's a lot to go through there. There's Indiana Jones, which we're obviously still on, but also, there's also possible. I think it's more than possible that we'll see Contraband also.
I think
Contraband
so.
is the most likely. Yeah, it was supposed to
think
release
so.
this year anyway, so absolutely.
And that's Avalanche
But
Games, so that's a good second party. That's the best thing
And they're
about
looking
this.
to be acquired as well. So
The best thing about this entire showcase is their exact words were Xbox and Bethesda showcase will include everything you need to know about diverse lineup games coming to the Xbox ecosystem. That's right. Xbox Game Studios, Bethesda, and our partners around the world. So we'll also be seeing second-party, third-party games, which is pretty.
So, Risket, do you think we'll see Wolfenstein 3
No.
or
I
Indiana
hope.
Jones?
But look, I think we'll see Indiana Jones, and I as well as that, going back to that first-person thing. You know that Todd Howard is a massive Indiana Jones fan, and he has had his finger in that pie quite heavily.
He would not let it get
No,
bastardized.
he
I
wouldn't.
agree.
No, yeah.
Yeah,
I
but he is
agree.
a first person. He's a first person developer. He's mostly developed, or just something. I can't think of a third person game that he's made that hasn't been that had. I can't think of one. There's all first
Well,
person. All his.
I'm just
Well,
wondering who they'd have
more
voice
involved
indie.
in the story of Indiana Jones, but that more so than the actual, mechanics of the actual game. He wrote the story and pitched the story to Lucasfilm before it was even built.
Yes.
Bought by Disney. So this has been a long time passion project for him. And look, I just think that yes, Todd Howard's great. If Jared's in the chat, he calls him God Howard. There is a reason for that, but he would be spreading his himself a little bit thin, working on both Starfield and Indiana Jones at the same time. He would be knee deep in Starfield because it's the game he has wanted to make for 25 years. His own words, the first new franchise that Bethesda's made. Since Elder Scrolls and Fallout. So I think that all his focus would be on that. I can't see him really, wanting to do more than that. I think all his focus should be on Starfield, and it's another reason why I don't think that that Indiana Jones is too far into development. So I'll ask this.
I agree
I'll
with
ask
Pete
this.
100% there, and that's
I'll ask
exactly
you guys
why.
this question. When they announced they dropped that trailer for Indiana Jones, do you think the deal was cut then and there? Because that's when, don't forget, that's when Disney was shopping out their franchises. That's when a lot of Star Wars games got announced. I think that when they announced it, it was pretty that's when the deal was cut. And if that's the case, then we're not going to see this game for a while.
You might be right,
You're
Pete,
killing
but
my
I think
dreams, Jedi. Jeez.
Thank you, Doom. Oh my God, he's kicking me in the balls, left, right, and center with
Yeah, look,
I think
Pete's
I
our
think
best-
that I don't know if they would do that soon. I think it probably was in the works months before that, and then they showed that because although it did seem kind of like they just kind of spliced something together to show us. So you could be right.
Okay,
Well,
but
we
going
do know-
back to Contraband, look, the game studio is saying that it's going to be their most spectacular and ambitious game they've ever done. So
Yes.
I think using those words and it's bold. And I think it's something that everyone's going to want to see.
Do you think people are sleeping on it? Yeah, you think maybe?
Yeah, I
perhaps-
do.
I do too. I do so because I don't think people are. From my understanding, it's essentially going to be a very narrative-driven, crime simulator. It's called Contraband for a reason. You watch that trailer. You've got 1960s rock music. You can vaguely
1970s.
see
It's set in the 1970s.
Excuse me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm super excited about the fact that it's set in the 1970s. You just don't see games. You just don't see games doing that anymore. I mean, go back to the GTA. I think it was 3. Yeah, no, 3. 3 was set in the 80s. If you go back to 3, it was the 80s, and those songs that you just cruising around to on a motorbike, just murdering innocent bystanders.
It's a vibe. It's a vibe.
It is a super vibe, man. I'm really, really excited to see what they do with Contraband, and I definitely agree with you. They are sleeping on it, Jack.
So I think they are. I mean, from what we understand, I read a little bit on it. I don't want to be too specific in the event that I'm not going to remember it to the point where I'll be outright lying. But from what I do recall, my understanding is, I don't want to say it's a crime simulator, but it is going to be very narrative, driven, and it's going to revolve around a criminal outfit, and I like the whole idea of it being in the 1970s. I love that song. I love the cars, like you brought up Vice City, and I don't think anything was more iconic than driving around in a 1980s Trans Am, killing people as Ray Liotta while Flock of Seagulls plays. It was amazing.
Your everyday life, Jack, really.
It really is. I
here we go. No singing.
Yeah.
Where's the music?
Not too far off.
Where's the music?
Ran both night and day.
See, his voice ain't that deep. I told you.
Oh, I just have range.
Oh, I thought you put your balls in a vice.
What do you think, Umbra, about Contraband being shown? Do you think it's something that's that should be a lot bigger and at the forefront of everyone's minds? And do you think we'll see it?
I'm not sure how they'll present this. The thing is like, we have I think in our minds too, we have such an overabundance of things to come. It's like, how do you quantify it? Because you got, more than likely, Forza Motorsport 8 is going to be shown, is going to blow our minds, like Forza Horizon 5 last year did. This is a new engine. That's going to be crazy to see. We have Starfield. We're going to see Hellblade 2. You know what I mean? We're probably going to see Fable. I'm still thinking we will, personally. How do you quantify this? Like, how do you put it? I don't know how to place it anywhere.
I agree with you. Everything can only be quantified, right, in terms of a frame of reference, right? So if the frame of reference for a game, subjectively, is going to be things like Avowed and Starfield, what could be an amazing game is still going to pale in comparison to things like that. And I think that's a part of it. I think it's easy to overlook a game like Contraband when you have... when words like Starfield and Fable, are sort of, they're in the conversation. So I think that's a part of it, and
Avowed, of course, and all those. Right. But this is what I'll say though. As far as the game goes, I agree with you 100%. I like the idea of it being set back in the 70s and everything like that. I'm pretty sure they'll have licensed music that's going to call back to that, and that's why many of us like those games, right? I mean, you think of the Mafia 3s or the Vice Cities, which is my favorite in the Grand Theft Auto series, by the way, because of the music. Because that music.
It was the music.
Hang on a minute, guys. I hate to stop you, Umbra. I do hate to interrupt. But Palpatine, cover your girlfriend's ears. EternalUmbra is dropping his pregnancy voice. So that's gold. Absolute gold.
Yeah, you know what we call that?
It's too late.
In the green room, when he talks, we call it the first trimester. It's got its own nickname and everything.
sorry, Umbra. Please do.
Palpatine, if you or anyone else's girlfriend is hearing my voice, it's already too late.
Yeah, they keep calling every time I talk. They call my voice the Trojan. I haven't been able to figure it out yet.
No, but seriously, I'm excited for it. Except, I want to see I wonder what engine they're using for this too. Avalanche.
Well, the same one they use for Mad Max. It's
Apex engine.
Yeah, it's a great car racing. The car racing in Mad Max is fantastic.
I love
Mad
Max.
In Rage 2 is good, but I think they're basically going to put those two games together. I hope it's a little bit more intricate or a little bit more involved or a little bit more narrative driven.
You think it'll be third person or first person though, Jedi? You think it'll be first or third?
Third person, sure.
Third. I'm hoping it's third.
Yeah,
I'm hoping it's third. Yeah.
Yeah,
I think driving mechanics. I mean, you're seeing cars. Obviously, you can get into a car and it can go to third person. It's very common. But I think typically, when you see a game like that and you realize it's going up against things like, the comparisons to, you're going to get Grand Theft Auto, you're going to get Saints Row. These are all third-person games for a reason. Anything where I think, I don't want to say the narrative, but the narrative, the mechanics, the entirety of the game revolves around the concept of, like, tailored criminality, if you will. I think there's definitely an industry trend of that being third person. I think Risk gets right. I don't see why it wouldn't be third person, I guess. You never know, but I'm inclined to agree with you, Risk.
Yeah, definitely. What do you think, Cutie? Do you think it's going to be a third person narrative driven game, or do you think it'll be a solid co-op game like what was that game we had years ago that was the two robbers? The
Payday.
Oh, Pain and Lynch. Yep.
Pain and Lynch. Do you think we'll see something like that, Cutie?
Okay. Yeah, okay.
Do you think we'll see something like that?
You know what? I think from what I've seen so far, I really do think there is going to be more of a narrative driven side. I think they've worked really hard on this game. Especially with Apex Engine, and just making it probably, like they say, one of their most magnificent releases. So, I'm excited to see, like you said, Jack, that the tailored criminality, I really do think we're going to get a lot of backstories, and I think it's going to be great.
I agree.
I was going to say that Mad Max, you can switch between third-person and first-person perspectives, can't you? So they might do something.
Yeah, look, I do
think.
That. Yeah, it could switch, or it will be third person. That's my prediction.
I hope it's third, and I think it probably will be third just because of the other games they made too. Mad Max and what's the other one?
Rage 2. Yeah.
Rage 2
don't you have first person, but. They moved over to they did move over unless you're doing the vehicular combat, which then moves back into third person, and it's what they're known for. I think Mad Max and Rage 2 has some of the best vehicle combat in all of gaming.
To be clear, though, Jedi,
that'll be a big part of the game.
But to be clear, this is not the same Avalanche that did because there are two Avalanches, if you all are not aware. So it's this one, and I believe it's the other one that makes the what's the name of that game where the guy has like a parachute and he can fly around?
Just Cause.
Just Cause.
Yeah.
Are they the same?
This is the same.
That's what I was thinking. So so this Avalanche does make that. That's probably why I was leaning toward it being third person, because of Just Cause and of course Mad Max. Mm-hmm. Which, by the way, if you all haven't played Mad Max in the chat, please do. It's a gem.
They've actually got 3 studios, have they? Yeah, they do. Yeah, they've got 3 studios. So that I did not know that about Avalanche. I was just looking it up now. That's crazy, and it is definitely the guys who did Just Cause. So that's 110.
Right. Yeah.
One of the things we haven't mentioned is the co-op aspect of this game.
Yes.
And I love that. Yeah. I love co-op games. I love gaming with my mates. So I think that's what elevates this game somewhat for me. Can't wait for that. I know Payday 2 didn't quite hit, and it was really difficult in Australia to get a game in Payday 2. It just didn't have the amount of people playing it that was needed. I'm not sure what it was.
Yeah.
Right, but they're conceptually strong. I think they're conceptually strong. And it started with Grand Theft Auto, all the way back in the late 90s, actually.
Yeah, but I think it's slightly different, Jack. These games are slightly different, and I think exactly what you said. Conceptually, it's strong, but I don't think it's been done quite right. And we also, at those times when that was released, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that was 360 days, we didn't have like optic cable, and things weren't running as smoothly as they are now. And
the technology wasn't there.
It wasn't there.
I mean, 20 years ago,
And the fact of the matter is,
they've learned. Years.
It's been 18 years. So essentially, what I think what we're going to see in this game is 18 years worth of ideas executed the best.
I think it's going to play like Mafia almost. I think it's going to be almost kind of a Mafia type experience. I think that's what I'm looking at. I think it's going to be very narrative. I think it's going to be graphically impressive. It's all going to be about criminality, and you're going to have your common sort of cinematic crime tropes. There's going to be getaway drivers, betrayals, things of that nature.
The way it's presented though, and the way that it looks like, it seems like it'll be more lighthearted to me. So I feel like it'll stick closer to the Mad Max as far as the style of movement and things of that nature.
Well, that's what Avalanche is known for, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. But we'll see. I'm excited for it. Like I said, it was supposed to have released this year. So I'm more than certain that we'll see something and we'll actually see gameplay.
Oh, I definitely think so. I mean, yeah. Fable, I'm not so sure on just because of those rumors, right? But I do think that they would have at least a small vertical slice to show us a concept of what they're going for.
Me too.
Are they going to go after
I'll ask you then this then, mate. Would you rather see Fable or Perfect Dark? Because both those studios have basically had their difficulties.
Fable, 110%.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, agree.
I agree. But then again, we're all such RPG junkies. Fable's an inevitable. You know what I mean?
I mean, to think what I've heard about Perfect Dark. I'm going to go out on a limb here and chat. Don't evacuate immediately. I haven't liked what I've heard about Perfect Dark. I've liked what I've heard about the studio, aside from the rumors, and I don't think the rumors are. I don't think it's as bad as we hear. I think it's trumped up bullshit, to be honest, most of it. However, Perfect Dark being first person, I know it initially was first person. Oh, I just don't. I think that was a missed opportunity, man.
I agree.
Yeah,
I thought it should have been third person.
It's going to be like Deus Ex, where basically when you get behind cover and it is meant to be a stealth-oriented game, it does back out into third person. Yeah. So there will be third person aspects to it, and that, for a stealth game is really needed because to be able to see the environment around you just makes such a big difference. But they focus into first person for that shooting aspect of it. So look, it depends on how it plays. A lot of the talk about Perfect Dark is the flow of the combat and the parkour system. So if it's implemented well, I think it could be quite good.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Osmandius, before we just go to Umbra in 2 seconds. Osmandius, plot twist. It's an indie fest and we don't get to see Starfield. I've already addressed this with someone on Twitter the other day. Now, they did their ID at Xbox. That's done. They always do it first. They always do ID at Xbox, which is their indie showing, and then they bring out the AAA bangers in June, sometimes July, but rarely. It's been a long time since we've seen that. So yeah, that's definitely not happened, but I like your salt. I appreciate your salt. Umbra, back to you.
Oh no, I was just co-signing really what Jedi was saying on that. Really.
Well, fair enough. Let's talk coalition. Let's talk coalition now. Before we do, because it's going to be crazy. Everyone's going to have an opinion on this, and I think we've all got differing opinions. Cutie, we haven't heard yours, so I'll go to you first. But this is what I'll say: we know the coalition was working on something small. I don't think they said a small game. They didn't say a small CGI trailer. They didn't say a small demo. They said a small game. So they said they were working on something small to get their head around Unreal Engine 5 first. And they did say game. So if it's small, it's highly possible that we see something from the coalition. However, if that small thing is just the demo and the CGI, then I think it's unlikely that we see Gears 6. So there's a little bit of what do we see here? Doom Cutie, are you a Gears fan?
Yeah. Look, I don't think. I feel like they want to give it a little bit more of a stage, if that makes sense. So I just don't think that it's going to be announced. Like, I would love it to be like mentioned a little bit, but yeah, potentially Gears 6 would be amazing. Not that, like I said, I haven't heard that much about it.
We have heard that the coalition wants to branch out and do something different, and I know Jedi really wants to see the coalition, what they can do with their chops outside of the Gears of War franchise. Pete, what do you think that it could be that we see?
Look, I don't know, but I think Umbra made a great point when they were Black Tusk Studios. They were working on a game, weren't they, Umbra? And they never got to make that. So we could, and it was a stealth game or something like that. I just want to see them spread their wings. I don't like that one of the greatest studios that are out there and the workhorse for Microsoft Game Studios in the coalition is stuck doing one franchise. And yes, I love Gears of War. It's up there as one of my favorite franchises of all time. Gears of War 2 is one of my favorite games of all time. But I think the coalition is talented enough and a big enough studio, and they should be able to work on two games. And I know, yes, they've got Gears Tactics, but I want to see something. I want to see that third-person, narrative-driven experience, and I think that the coalition can pull it off. What that is, I'll leave up to them. I have total faith in them. Just want to see something new.
I agree with you. And my thing is much like we had in the discussion, I definitely want to see them kind of spread their wings away from the Gears franchise, kind of. And that's crazy because that was a long time discussion in the community, like for them and I believe for 343 some years ago, where fans were like, "You have so many developers inside those studios. Let's see you all do more than one franchise, much like Naughty Dog and Insomniac does." So absolutely, I'm excited to see what they do. I was listening to Jez and Rand earlier, and Jez thought that maybe they would show Gears 6 first, although evidence was to the contrary that showed that they'd be working on the new project and then focusing on that after, because
I think you're right.
Right. So
right. I mean, they've been clear about it. I think
they have been. I agree.
They said they wanted to. My theory on, and this is just me with way too much time on my hands and not enough gainful employment at the moment. You know what I mean? Like I look at it. I am employed, by the way. I'll clarify. I just been on my ass a lot. But on your dollar, thank you. But so I think what's happening is I saw that tech demo, right? And I don't know. I think tech when they throw the words tech demo out, I don't know. A part of me feels that as beautiful as it was when they did Unreal, a part of me did to dream and thought maybe that verbiage was a little disingenuous, maybe a little cryptic. I look at how amazing that was, and I have to assume that whatever we saw, I mean, I would like to think that perhaps is sort of at least loosely or in some tertiary, way connected to what they're working on. I definitely agree with Pete. I think they've been pretty clear that their new IP, whatever it happens to be, is sort of the focus at the moment. That's going to come. That's coming out the pipes first.
And my thoughts on the Jack is that if you all, I don't know if you're aware of it, if you've maybe seen it. I don't know if the chat has seen it or remembers it, but when they were Black Tusk, do you all remember that Splinter Cell-esque like demo CGI demo they showed?
I do remember that. Okay, that's a good take. I'm curious. Do you think we're going to see something to that effect?
I would love to see them go back to it.
I would love it.
I hadn't thought of that.
Because we love Splinter Cell here. We love Splinter Cell on this.
Well, we love
so
Michael
I would love
Einstein.
Feels that stealth that we've been craving. That nobody wants to be doing, which is just, I don't understand it. Stealth games used to be some of the highest selling games. I mean, we're talking about Assassin's Creed, we're talking about Splinter Cell. These are some of the biggest franchises that were out there during the 360 generation.
Yeah, look, I think the space is out there for a game like that. Whether or not they are working on that and taking that opportunity, I think it's really exciting to see, regardless.
And just as a side note, Sniper Elite 5 will be dropping in Game Pass. So that should fill your stealth boots. So it's coming, I think, end of this month sometime.
Nothing like shooters and Nazis in slow motion.
I think that there's a lot to be said for it. I think the biggest part of the coalition is it's not just the raw talent, but it's the raw talent they have in terms of how at the forefront of every developmental innovation there is, whether it's Unreal, it's the way they work with Epic. I think when we look at this Unreal Engine 5, I mean, there was a reason that the coalition was chosen. The coalition, what they worked on was brought to the forefront of that entire expo. I mean, and if you watch it again, they put aside, I think it was somewhere between 90 seconds, 2 minutes, someone correct me if I'm wrong, where they just absolutely came out and they lauded about half a dozen first-party Xbox studios that they were working with. I think that bodes, as Xbox gamers, that just bodes so well for us, I think. And I think the coalition is just about, it's just about as ahead as it can be of everybody on that, at least from what we understand. So whatever they're going to show it'll definitely be in terms of the graphical prowess and fidelity, it will be nothing short of a titan, an absolute monstrosity. I think we'll get a little taste of it. I think we have to, because I think everybody knows that Unreal Engine 5 is going to be more than just lip service and a talking point at this upcoming Xbox showcase. So I think knowing that, bearing that in mind, because they do it every year. They talk about what they're doing. Oh, with Unreal Engine 4, with Unreal, it's par for the course. I think what the coalition will show is very likely an IP outside of the Gears universe. I think it's good, like Umbra said, to get a little more diversity Because at least if you play on Xbox, the one caveat, the silver lining to our gaming experience is it's not quite so monolithic. And it's a lot more diverse in terms of genre and play style that we're presented with. So I'd like to see that. And I think you're all right.
That's more of the reason why I want to see them bring back Banjo and Conquer. It's like, come on, y'all. Then Viva Pinata. It's like those are just too great of IP to leave sitting at the wayside.
I think Everwild is going to be very similar to Viva Pinata. From I know we haven't heard much about that game, but I think that's what they're going for, that world building aspect kind of thing to it. And look,
we had a discussion
what about
about
Everwild, Umbra? Yeah, exactly. We were talking about it yesterday in the green room, and I think Jack believes it's going to be there.
Yep.
I don't know. I'm not too sure about that because we heard about the situation they had where it's kind of in this development hell. I know it's a fancy term people love to use all the time when a game does somewhat bad or has some issue. But seeing how they have to replace the director for it and bring back one of the old tried and true directors, I'm not too sure that it'll show up for that reason. But
sorry to interrupt, but someone in chat has actually made a really good point. So Boba Fett Gaming has said that they think that streaming has impacted the popularity of these games. What do you guys think of that?
12 million
stealth games, I think that stealth games are coming back. I think that they are going to try. I hope that they're going to make a return. I really do. Maybe that's just the fact that I love stealth games, but. I mean, things like they did try and incorporate multiplayer into some of these games. Like, I didn't mind the multiplayer in Splinter Cell. I didn't mind the multiplayer in Assassin's Creed. So they can boost these single-player experiences with the additional multiplayer aspects.
Yeah, that was actually sorry, mate. It was actually really, really good, man. Sorry to jump in there, but that was one of the experiences that I remember. Is it Pandora's Tomorrow? I think it was that had that multiplayer in there. I played that.
Love Pandora Tomorrow.
I played the co-op. Yeah,
I played it for as long as I could. No, it was actually PvP. So you had the spies versus the guards, right? It was a really great idea, and it was.
I'm thinking of Conviction. Yeah, it's all co-op. We do the missions. My apologies.
Yeah, it was never iterated on, which is a bit of a shame. And look, I do agree with you, Boba Fett. You're absolutely right. I think that streaming does affect what games become popular and what games don't. And I think it's a little bit sad, exactly like I just said, unfortunately, because, and that's used as a metric to judge how successful a game is.
Viewer count, I
don't think the watching of a game is a metric of success. I think the
microtransactions do impact it considerably. And it's very difficult to put microtransactions into a single-player stealth game.
Spies versus Mercs, General C. That's exactly what it was. It was Spies versus Mercs, man. I love that.
Spies versus Mercs.
Yeah.
I just want to shift back though.
Sorry, if you look at stats, 2.2 million people stream every month. So that's pretty significant.
And look,
but I look at it past
Spies. Oh, sorry, Umbra, you go.
No, you're good. No, you finish because I'm shifting to something else. So you finish that for sure.
Iterate on something like Spies versus Mercs. It's very different. There's nothing like it out there in the gaming space at the moment. They could have something really big on their hands. I just think somebody needs to take that chance, and I think Game Pass is a perfect avenue for that chance to be taken.
Oh, 100%, definitely.
Well, because the analytics so far, obviously it's a little early, right, to render a concrete verdict on Game Pass. It is such a shift in the industry of the landscape. It's changing everything from, it's making, and a lot of people will disagree, particularly, the Sinistas, who've put all their eggs in well, not all of them, but the vast majority of them, in the basket that are, traditional sales models, brick and mortar stores, physical copies, all that. I think it's hard to render a verdict yet, but I don't think anybody can concretely say that Game Pass does not, at least at the moment, appear to be wildly successful. I think that much, that could change in a year, 10 months, what have you. But at least at the moment we can gauge this. But we're talking about, 8 times the player engagement, all kinds of things. It's mutually beneficial for developers, for gamers, for publishers alike. I think Game Pass is excellent. I think what we're going to see with this showcase, this is Game Pass's real debut, right? Like, we've had it for 2 years, 3 years, what have you. But this is really, I think, where Game Pass sort of comes into its own. Is going to be with this showcase.
They're coming out of Game Pass when basically they made a massive point saying that everything was going to be coming to Game Pass in every game. Game Pass, it's coming out. This will be the solidification of Game Pass in the industry. The eyes are on Game Pass now. Everybody knows that that's what Microsoft is pushing, and I can see something similar to what they did last year. And look. I agree with you, Jack. Every metric out there, mate, suggests that Game Pass is not only good for the developers, it's not only good for Xbox, but it's great for the consumer.
Yeah. Yes, but sorry, someone in chat just mentioned about the introduction of ads in these free-to-play games.
We did talk about that last week. We'll quickly go over that.
No, you're right. You're right. It's a valid point, isn't it? Doomy, what I suggested last week is if it doesn't affect the actual immersion of the game, that I really don't mind, and it depends on the game.
It's implementation. But listen, before we go off on the tangent, just to go back to what you were asking about with Everwild, I don't think it'll be there. But more importantly, I definitely don't want it to be some Viva Pinata game. We had a space, and we talked about that in depth.
We did.
And I really do not want to see that. I feel like it should be narratively driven, and it should be something with meat on it.
I definitely don't think it will be. But before we go on with Everwild, let me just jump in and say, if you're just joining us, guys, please hit that like button, please hit that subscribe button, share it out, let your friends know, let your grandma know, get everyone in here. We are talking about the showcase, Xbox Bethesda showcase, and we've really only just scratched the surface. Everwild, I don't think that it'll be a Viva Pinata. I don't think that they knew exactly what it was going to be. I definitely think it was a narrative-driven, story-based, third-person action adventure in the style of what Rare does. But it didn't have combat. That was the rumor. It lacked the combat.
Yes.
And that's
I was just about to say that.
They went back to the drawing board with it. And look, I don't think it's unreasonable that we see it. Jack, I think I might agree with you there. I think it's a possibility that we might see something, at least some concept CGI.
Definitely.
Yeah, it might just be another trailer showing off some of those new creatures. I mean, you watch that, and it's almost evocative the way you look at it of a Miyazaki film. You know, it just gives you that sense of wonder and I think the Everwild trailer was fantastic. I think it lets you know enough about the art direction and to kind of give you the bare bones, but at the same time left it just enigmatic and cryptic enough to keep your interest peaked. You know, you didn't know what it was going to really be about. We still don't. We're nebulous on whether or not there's going to be combat. There's not going to be combat. Our understanding is so far there probably won't be.
No.
It's not like that.
They went back to the drawing board and they are adding combat. That is part of what's part of the delay. They scrapped that.
But did they?
So now we're getting like
confirmed though. Is that official?
Pokemon.
That's
not official.
Extremely strong rumor.
Yeah,
I agree.
I'm not sure
yet.
I'm not sure yet, but I hope that there is combat, and I hope that there's a narrative. I just don't. I'm tired of.
Like
they
might be
they gave us Sea of Thieves. Yeah,
sorry.
I don't think
Viva
Pinata.
The Pokemon and sort of like Horizon.
That's what I'm thinking. It sounds like a cel-shaded Pokemon.
But if that's the case, we're going around capturing these fantasy deer. I don't know. Like, if that's the case, at least have us combat.
I don't think you're going to be catching stuff. I think it's like a world-building game where you're going to be able to have to manipulate the world in order for these animals to be able to thrive. So basically, it's like going to be a god tier game where you have control over the world and you're going to use various abilities. And I think that Rare does think outside of the box in terms of the games that they make, and they will have they can have a big impact on the actual gaming community because their games are so out there, and that's what I love about them.
But Jedi, my thing though is it going to be something that's why I want something that's narratively contained, because I don't want some live service Everwild game. I want something that's contained. It has a solid.
I don't think it's focused at us, but Umbra. I think that Microsoft have been crying out for
a different market demographic.
And I think that's the target audience that they're going for.
That's unfortunate, though. But the reason it's unfortunate because Rare. It's like I look at Rare past, and then I look at Rare now. It's like you had so many quality narrative bangers before, or at least something with a plot.
I don't
And
think
you
it
know
is
what?
because
Any
you and I will
game-
play Wolfenstein, but my girl won't play Wolf, but she'll love to play Everwild. You know, I think they're
this
reaching
is what I'm
newer
saying,
audiences.
Like, you know, you think about games like, you know, Animal Crossing, you know, all those games.
Exactly.
Where
What I
it's
was
They
exactly
do
what I was
that.
thinking
And
of.
why-
Yeah.
You do me. Yep.
Yeah.
Listen,
Pokemon
this is
and
a
Animal
this is a
Crossing.
studio. This is a studio that's produced like games like Killer Instinct. They created Killer Instinct, Donkey Kong Country,
Yes.
GoldenEye,
Mhm.
Banjo
This
Kazooie.
was
These guys
rare
perfect.
a
done.
long time ago, mate.
They
Yeah, I
did.
mean,
It is. Hang on, I'm not done.
Like,
It is. Hang on, I'm not done. It is. It absolutely is rare a long time ago, but I think they're looking to make their comeback. And look, I'm gonna go on
I hope
hot
so.
take. This is my hot take here, Umbra. I agree with you. I think they're going to aim it at us, and I agree with Pete. I think they're going to aim it at that other market as well. It's like Cutie was saying. I think it will have combat, and I think we're looking at a Breath of the Wild type Zelda game. I think that's what they're going to go for. I think after the success of Breath of the Wild, and that this game was in development, I think they looked at that. They looked at the lack of combat, and they've gone back from all the rumors. They've gone back to the drawing board, and they've looked at what really makes a successful game. Because it might be a long time ago, but Rare can make very successful games, and very, very good games. And like you said, industry-changing games.
I think
I don't know, I'm with Pete.
if they're smart, they will have reference to their previous work in regards to, you know, the play style, things like that. But I think moving forward, I think it's a really smart idea to sort of have that niche sort of, you know, cozy game collector, beautiful, you know, cute, just a really nice game with those elements in it.
I think Pete's right. It's a God simulator.
I don't know. I hope it's not though. I just hope that it's something with a real narrative. And I think that's why they went back to the drawing board, because that whole directionless thing they had going for it is why they couldn't go forward. They're like, what do we do? They have nothing. Give us something. I need something. I don't want to just run around and, is that a tree sprite? I don't want that. I want something where I actually have something to structure. I don't. Not for Rare. Not for Rare. Rare is way too big and storied for that. For me, I want something meaty from them. Something heavy.
You want to kill things, don't you?
Every
even if not killing, I want to at least fight them or something. Or
you want something like maybe a little thicker.
You want to hurt this?
Yeah, I like them thick. Absolutely.
I got you.
I like them thick. Absolutely. No, but seriously, I want something that's just, to me, stretches out their creative power. I don't want this whole create your own adventure thing that they're doing now.
You prefer something thick that can, you know, stretch out.
Don't play it, Umbra. Just don't play it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I understand.
I feel like there's a double entendre there that Jack is throwing out at me.
Let's move on. Let's move on from that double entendre. Yeah, I do completely agree with what you guys are saying, and I think that Rare's got the chops to do it. Yeah, it's a totally different studio than what it was, you know, in the 90s. But there's nothing to say that it can't come back, especially with the backing that they now have. You've got to remember, Pete, I think that Microsoft of the, you know, pre-2014 is a very different Microsoft, you know, today. So
yeah,
I agree. And after Sea of Thieves, Rare are free to do whatever they want because it's a money-making machine.
Yeah.
So they're printing money through
popular.
that game.
I give them that. I'll give them
over 20 million
avenues for them. Yeah. And they can try whatever they want to try now and have the time to do so and make sure they get it right before they put it out there, because Sea of Thieves has that player base and that in order them, you know, to do that. But I just think that they're not focusing on us, guys. I mean, I can't stress it enough. They are going exactly what Doomy said. They're going for that Animal Crossing audience.
Cozy in our chat here. Too. We need to have Cozy here as a guest, by the way. Cozy cracks me up. She wants cute. Look at her. I want cute.
Yeah,
hang on a minute,
Cozy. Cute, you guys, come on.
Cozy, can you specify? Are you talking about you actually want Doom cutie, or you want the game to be cute? I'm not sure exactly.
Yeah, that is a bit vague. I think
it's very vague, Cozy. Very vague.
Yeah, we'll all wait in awkward silence.
No, obviously, Cozy and I are on the same wavelength here, and I'm all for that. You know, the cute collection. Like, I want to see like you know, what is it? What did you say? Sprite.
Tree sprite, yeah.
I
want to collect all those tree sprites. Like,
I'll collect them. I agree. I think Pete's right. I think getting a simulator out, not a simulator, I should say. I think getting something out where you're effectively God mode, and I mean because I think the only thing I would disagree with you. Well, I don't want to say I disagree with you, Umbra. I think perhaps your fears are a little misplaced. And I'll tell you why. I don't want to say disagree. I don't think that being able to do that sort of, you know, cutesy, Pokemon Sims hybrid type thing. It is mutually exclusive with the concept of a good narrative. I think you can absolutely have both.
You can have both, but that's what I'm saying. But give us both. Give me that. I'll take cutesy if you give me a story, but I don't want to walk around just, is that grass I can go run through? No, I want something. I want something I can.
You know what a great example?
I don't want to just run around frolicking through the damn meadows. I want something real.
A great example of this, what you're talking about, Umbra, I think is Kino Bridge of Spirits. I think that hit a nice.
Yes.
Yeah. See, but then look at the drop off of Kina though. Like nobody's really talking about that anymore.
Guys, Cozy is she's telling you, don't play it. Just don't play it. It's okay.
No. No. Boo, Cozy.
I would more go back to say a Rare with Sea of Thieves,
Love you, Cozy,
where it didn't hit that good, but they worked on it, they iterated on it. But when Sea of Thieves was at its best is when you were doing the narrative experiences, and that Jack Sparrow narrative that they just released was just amazing. It was so much fun.
I still got to play that, Jedi. I still have to play that. But you see what I mean? Like, give me something with a narrative. Give me something. I can take cutesy. I'll capture a sprite if there's a story behind it.
Maybe that recent, hit of a Sea of Thieves that will push them in that direction more. But I don't know. I don't think they're going for us guys. I think that they're going for that Pokemon Animal Crossing.
Yeah, you might be right. You all might be right.
Wrong with that. There's nothing
wrong at all. I agree. That's just what I want. That's all.
That's why they bought Rare. If you go back to why they bought Rare, they bought them to make those child-friendly games.
Yes.
Really, why haven't they touched Banjo and Kazooie yet then, if that's the case?
I don't know, mate. I know that Rare don't want to go back and rehash old games. They have basically said that more than one occasion. But I agree, you're sitting on franchises that are just... Yeah, they're amazing, that have a lot of love, and we're seeing a bit of a resurgence of these type of games, whether it be
remakes.
Fable or Dead Space or Star Wars Coda. The remakes are really big at the moment, so I don't see why Rare can't bring up some of these old franchises and bring them back to life.
And I think we're at a point in history, a point in time now where, and a lot of people are against remakes, and I know some of the panel is, but I think we're at a point in history and time now where a lot of the gamers now, in their 20s, they haven't played these old school games.
Yes,
they haven't,
exactly right.
They haven't seen these IPs, so to them these remakes are new. And changing the mechanics and graphically updating them and doing, Resident Evils, the two Resident Evils 2 and 3 remakes were absolutely sensational and really well done. And I think that's the gold standard. And if we see remakes like that, I'm all for that. I have no issues with that. But we do have to move on to what we think. I don't know, we've jumped all over the place. We've touched on this a little bit. And someone in the chat did say they would like to see inXile do a space I'd love to see developers in XR do a wasteland type game, but in space. Jenkins 152, thank you for your thoughts. That is something that I think we may see, because NXile is working apparently on a cyberpunkish type
post-apocalyptic cyberpunk.
They said it was going to be post-apocalyptic, Riskin. I don't think it's going to be going into space, although I would love to see that.
Yeah.
Which game are we talking about here?
We're talking about NXile's unannounced.
NXile's no IP.
Unannounced. And look, before I do go to everyone, I'll go through the announcements of what I think we'll most definitely see. And I think we'll see, I think there's some unannounced that haven't even been rumored. So I think we'll probably see about maybe 5 or 6. But here's what I think we'll definitely see. We'll see NXile. We'll definitely see Compulsion, because they've been working on that for quite some time. And they built their studio up to some size. So I think they're at a point at least where they'll have something CGI at the very least. I'd like to see, but I really don't think we will, IO's Project Dragon. That'd be really interesting, but I think, like Pete said earlier on, Hitman is, really just kind of launched. I think it was about 6 months ago. So, I don't think we'll see that. And I've written down Compulsion again, but that's not come on, think brain. They made Gears of War. Come on, help me. Coalition. I think we're 50-50 on seeing what they do. We've kind of already talked about that. But
I don't think we're going to see him, mate, unfortunately.
I don't think so either. Doom, Cutie, Do you think we'll see something from In Exile Compulsion?
No.
Whoa! Straight out.
What, mate?
Whoa! Just bang, no.
Do you
Straight
care
to-
to elaborate, Doomy?
I just don't think that it's ready. I don't think any of those are ready to be announced in this showcase. And, you know, I think they want to do them justice. And, yeah, no.
Yeah, well, look, let's talk about... I'm not saying gameplay. We're talking CGI. These games haven't been announced. So what I'm talking is more like, will they be announced? You know, they might even do what they did with Starfield, which is just bring up... you know, some strings.
Yeah, weird
and
little
some
graphic.
Yeah, maybe.
It looks like a GIF.
Maybe, but I don't... maybe. I don't know. I don't think so.
Well, In Exile announced this about mid last year that I think they announced it on Twitter. They said, would anyone like to see us make a similar game to Fallout, post-apocalyptic, punky shooter? And so they have been working on it for a fair while. So I do think that we will see something from In Exile. And Compulsion need to show something. They need to show something. They've been dead in the water for a while now. I know Microsoft gave them time to build out their studio. They moved to a new building. I do think that we need to see something from them. So I think we'll see both.
In Exile, I would say more than likely not. But if they show something, it'll be CGI. But I think they'll probably say that for next year's C3 or summer showcase. But I would say Compulsion is absolutely a guarantee that we'll see their game. And I think they're much further along to the likes of something like Contraband, where it could have probably released this year, if anything.
I think in the way of announcements, we'll see. I'll go to you, Jack, in a minute, but I really do think that we're going to see short CGI of all of these. I think In Exile, Compulsion, and IO, and the Coalition. I think they'll just drop.
Oh, In Exile's game is being made in Unreal Engine 5, so I think you're right, Risk It. I think we'll just get a CGI trailer. I don't think we'll get gameplay, but I think they'll announce something.
Yeah, I think we'll see announcements for all of those studios. To be honest, I think it would be a missed opportunity to. You know, we're going into 2023. We've got plenty of games going into 2023, so that's fine. But what's coming after? And everyone always wants to know what's coming next. And Microsoft are very good at communicating what is coming next.
But
Jack,
the only reason,
the
only reason I would say that I don't expect to see that though is because I don't think they're going to stick towards CGI this year. I think their focus is going to be towards showing gameplay specifically.
Yeah, look, I'll say to that.
I'll say to that. At the same time.
I'll say directly. Hang on, Pete. 2 seconds. I'll say directly in answer to that question. Microsoft actually asked this question. I think it was after the 2020 E3, and the resounding answer was very specific. CGI as a first trailer, and once we've seen CGI, we don't want to see anything but gameplay after that. Sorry, Pete.
That's true.
I was going to say that In Exile and Obsidian were acquired at the same time, and we got the Avowed CGI trailer last year, which is why I think we'll see the In Exile CGI trailer this year. But you're exactly right, Riskit. They generally like to show CGI trailers, and then they go straight to gameplay, and I think there will be enough gameplay. We're talking about seeing Hellblade, we're talking about seeing gameplay for Starfield. These are going to look amazing, and if you mix them in with the CGI trailers of other games, I think that the show can flow with with both.
Absolutely. I think they've got plenty of gameplay to show, like you said. Jack, are you with us?
Yeah, I am. Yeah, I didn't want to cut you off. You guys were riveted. I saw going. I'm like, oh, just let them have it for a moment. No, and I think it's interesting. I think ultimately we will walk away with some idea of what both are working on. We'll definitely not be seeing gameplay, especially in the case of an Exile. I think I generally agree. I think by virtue of the development time, the juncture we'll be at, I think it's almost incumbent upon Compulsion to show something, something of substance. I think In Exile's got far more, but it's interesting because you never know, because yes, I even actually got responded to by In Exile yesterday on Twitter. In Exile was showing off a few. It was very interesting if you go on Twitter. They were showing off these like weird screenshots of cryptic, almost Bloodborne-esque looking corridors, or it looked like a dungeon in Skyrim, with the fog on the ground and the skeletons waiting to jump out of the crypts. I don't know. I think, and they posed the question: if you were traveling through this, what would show an emoji that you would take with you? So I said I sent the bear. I'm like, I'm bringing a bear, because they took away the 9mm emoji apparently. But so I think I want to say they're sort of working up to it, because every one of those images looked very similar. You could tell it was all the same biome, if you will. It looked like this subterranean, various aspects of this weird subterranean. I think they're building up. I think In Exile's gonna. I don't necessarily. Show might be a strong word. They're going to announce something. You will walk away having a clearer picture of what they're working on. I think Compulsion. I think they have to give you at least some CGI. I think. But I do think, I think it's going to be a great opportunity for Microsoft to show that they're not just Halo, Gears, and Forza, and I think that's been a very pervasive accusation that, for frankly, quite a long time, that was a critique that held some merit. It held water, that argument. And I think this is a great opportunity for them to move away from that. And I think the more new IPs they show, I think the better. So I expect at least some sort of lip service to be paid to both projects, and then something more substantive to come from Compulsion rather than In Exile, if that makes sense at all.
Yeah, I think, like I said, Microsoft is very, very good at letting us know what's coming in the future. There's already a couple of games that we've got slated that we know are coming. I mean, they announced Starfield, and then pretty much straight after that, they announced Elder Scrolls Online. So I don't see them being very shy with their announcements.
I have one more thing to say about In Exile. Basically, Jez Gordon said in around mid last year that they do have a project. It is called Project Cobalt, and it is a RPG steampunk first-person shooter. So we have heard about it.
Yes.
It's not like we don't know what they're working on. I think
we thought it was a new Arkane game.
Yeah,
I remember that.
It's been a year since that, so I do think that it's ready for a CGI trailer. But I wanted to ask one more question. Now, we haven't talked about id, and we don't know what they're working on after Doom, but do you think there's any possibility that we'll see Quake? Because I think that's what they're working on.
Yeah. I think it's already been rumoured as much. It's actually already been rumoured, and there was a lot of talk about that, I think, around about 6 months ago, and I think the people that were talking about that, I can't remember, but they're fairly reputable, and I think we'll most definitely see a Quake. Cutie, you were going to say? Not much, because she's been quiet.
I just agreed. I just agreed. I agreed with you, Vicky. I did.
Jack, we'll go to you. You were going to say?
It's like I can't really. I mean, it's weird because I want to add substance to the conversation, but I think Risk It, you nailed it on the head. I think you got it. I think everything you've just said, I'm completely in agreement with. And we'll have to see. Because I do remember. It's funny that Pete brings it up, that Cobalt. Because I don't even think I knew you guys at the time we were this release. I think we touched on it briefly, my first guest appearance, and in the green room. And I remember we were talking about it. I mean, we theorized that it could be another Arkham game. It could be all kinds of. I remember, and then they.
So sorry to interrupt you, Jack, but there was
not forgiven.
There actually was a leak. They were looking for a combat director. Director with in-depth knowledge about Doom.
But okay, see, I wasn't aware of that at the time. I just remember sort of we'd seen Cobalt. There'd been all this weird, sort of speculative fiction as to what it was or not, and it was one of those things where we were just in the green room, kind of spitballing back and forth. I mean, we were talking like real tinfoil hat type conspiracy. Not exactly what we would bring. Nothing that Risk It would ever let us bring onto the show.
But I mean, incredible. But I mean, potentially this could open up. I mean, I'm going to say it. Perhaps a co-op Doom, multiplayer Doom. I don't know.
I think the knowledge of Doom, that knowledge of Doom, is knowledge of Quake. What did they make? Yeah. What did they make straight after Doom, the original? They made Quake. Well, they made Doom too. They made Quake. Where they went to Quake, and then they went to Quake Arena. And that became their multiplayer. That was one of those early, multiplayer bangers that basically. Set the world on fire and set us up for the multiplayer games that we have today. Pete, you were going to say?
No. I wasn't going to say anything. It's just more that I want to see what it are working on. I loved Doom Eternal. How you do a remake? You do it exactly like it did with
it was
Doom and
beautiful.
Doom Eternal. It was
Tasteful,
amazing.
yeah.
And I know that they worked on Rage before that. And they were getting themselves back into game development before they worked on Doom. Wow, I mean, I can go back and play that game time, but I love that Quake is in that gothic style. That's
very Middle European. Yeah, it is
exactly.
nice.
I love that. If you can and add a narrative, more of a narrative experience that we got in Doom. That's what I want. I know that it don't tend to do that, but if you could add Doom and Wolfenstein together and make it in that gothic architecture, I mean,
you want a first person
bring it on.
one?
I've never been that big into the Quake series. I'll be honest with you. So I'm interested in seeing what they do, but we know that it's returning, so it's a foregone conclusion at this point.
Yeah, for them to not return that series is out of control. I did play a fair bit of Quake way back in the day because it was one of those games that I could actually run on my computer. But yeah,
That
It's always a good decision.
Yeah, that was
The way you
before my
move
time.
on there, the way you move on that game is like, nah, I couldn't do it. It's too insanely fast for me.
yes, that
That's
was what's
almost
great
Doom
about
now.
it. That was the great thing about it. It was a lot quicker after Doom, and Doom was a bit slower, a bit more methodical. But I wanted to say about Doom and those id developers, the guys over there, when it comes to optimizing for systems, especially with the Xbox, almost second to none. I would say Coalition on par. Second to none. The way that they optimized Doom 2016.
1440p.
Ray tracing.
with ray tracing at 60. It's flawless.
Unbelievable.
Flawless.
Yeah. Unbelievable. And on both systems. But I mean, these having these guys in our stables is a huge boon. I think even just having Bethesda just for that, not even thinking about
stables.
Not even thinking about. When you talk about studios, you can call it stables, and it makes you feel at home, Jack. So, when you talk about, just
Sorry.
I
I just got that.
Yeah, I coined that one, so that caught me.
when you think about just having Doom, you've got Doom, you've got your Machine Games, you've got Todd Howard's Bethesda, all these developers that we're pumping out games, and it has been said, and it is true. I do think Bethesda will probably give us the bulk of their games through 2023, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that at all. Now, look, we do have to move on. Does anyone want to cover any more? I mean, I'm sure there's more to say. Does anyone else want to cover anything that I've missed?
Not from that. I think we can move on to because we got so many other parts to cover for this showcase.
Oh, one more.
Yeah, I agree.
Question. State of Decay 3. Are we going to see it?
Nah.
I think so. I think so.
You do.
Yeah, I do. I really do. We saw the
Tell me why
CGI
you think
trailer
that's good.
last year, and I think that we'll see gameplay this year. If gameplay is not ready, then they
Actually,
won't show it.
it was the
But
year before
I
that, I think. Actually, Jedi.
Yeah,
I think it was the year before that.
So I definitely think that we'll see
You
it.
could
I
be
really
right
do.
for that. Yeah, you could be right, but I don't think they will. I think that we'll see that next year.
There is so much. Cutie, are you a State of Decay player? I'm kind of one foot in, one foot out. I think it was a great idea, and they got so close with 2, but they just didn't nail it. Cutie?
Yeah, look, I've never really gotten fully into it, and I think I'm sort of like you, like 1 foot in, 1 foot out. And I don't know. I mean, I know that they released the CGI, but whether or not we see the gameplay or trailer this time around, I'm really not sure.
I think it's one of those definitely iffy ones. There's been enough time's gone by, but there's also been a little bit of discourse in the background with the studio.
But studios have issues all the time. So, at the end of the day, we're all human. We're not machines. So I think, when studios come up against issues, it's going to set things back. And I think as consumers, we need to be accepting of that.
Oh, absolutely. And if it makes a greter game, taking more
Right.
time, absolutely go for that.
Yeah, that's one thing gamers aren't very good at, accepting. Anything that will make their game take longer for them to play, we're not very good at it.
Give me my game now. I want it now.
Yeah, exactly.
No excuses.
I think we forget how long game development takes, and I think we can be a little bit harsh on some of these on these studios, and I do wish we eased up on them. I really like that Microsoft have really pushed back against crunch. I think that they're at the forefront of that. And I do hope that continues. And I think us as gamers need to just settle down and realise that the world at the moment with COVID, things are going to take a little bit longer.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I'm going to throw the floor open to you guys. I'm going to ask you individually, what are you most excited about for this showcase, be it announcements, be it possible games we'll see, be it shadow drops? What are you most excited about, Cutie?
You know, I've seen quite a bit on Bethesda's social media about Starfield, and I can't help but jump on that train. I'm really sorry. It's a magnificent release, and just the storytelling, and like I was listening to some of the music, and the artwork is just mind blowing. I'm so excited for that.
Yeah. Well, look, I'm going to go hot take and say I'm skeptical about Starfield. I don't know if it's going to be for me. Jedi, what are you most excited to see?
I will back away from Starfield because I think we're all going to say that. And I'm going to say Avowed, just because that's what type of game I love. I think Obsidian make that dark narrative that I've been craving in the industry, and it's set in that fantasy world with mages and dragons, and yeah, man, that's my thing. Get on.
Yeah, absolutely. Jack?
So, here's the thing. I gotta, and I'm 100% with Doom on this one. For me, it's gotta be Starfield. I'm a sci-fi junkie. I'm an RPG junkie. When you know how
My
passionate...
man.
You're right. Yeah, the Denzel. My man. Can you give us a my man number? You got a Denzel or no? Can you do it in...
I think Monad pointed it out in the chat just then. He said everything, and yeah, I gotta go with Monad.
My biggest thing outside of Starfield, though, I almost don't know if I should say it right now.
Why not?
I'll say it. Here's so recently, and by recently I mean within the last 3 hours, we learned some very interesting things.
We're not there yet.
That's why.
I think an announcement. Yeah, that would be. I think an announcement pertaining to that, I guess, would be something I'm very looking forward to.
We'll move to that in like 2 seconds straight after.
Yeah, I didn't want to say it. Yeah.
I don't know what this is.
Oh, you're gonna love it.
You're gonna love it.
Oh God, cover your ears, guys.
So Umbra, what are you most excited to see from this showcase pertaining directly to the showcase and nowhere else?
Yeah, he's got to clarify that. I almost shit the bed.
Well, I mean, we kind of already spoke on that. Starfield, we know is going to be the star of the show, so I'm definitely hyped to see full gameplay of that. But like Pete said, I said it earlier, Avowed, and I think Jack, you kind of agree with that too. At least
it's great.
You agreed with it. Yeah,
Avowed's one of my most anticipated.
Absolutely,
and for exactly the
reason. I want to see how it looks.
It's dark, it's gritty, it's visceral. Obsidian.
Absolutely, and it's Unreal Engine 5. It's going to look beautiful, and we get to see Obsidian's take on a medieval kind of situation with that. I'm definitely hyped for that. That's to me outside of Starfield, barring any super major announcement and actually Fable, if that's there. Those are my top 3.
I think Avowed has the potential to maybe steal the show. I think it has the potential. Yeah.
What I liked about Avowed is the rumor that came out only a couple of days ago that with those signs, or it's actually Colt who said the rumor came out. Colt Eastwood, shout out to him. It was a great take on it. Those signs that you see in the trailer, apparently they're not going to be something that you button press to do, but something that you do with a stick. Cool. So you move your stick around in the direction of the sign to make the sign. And then that's how you use your magic. Now that to me sounds like something, we're moving into next gen, we're moving into different types of mechanics and controls, and that's really exciting. So I'm also pretty excited to see what they do with Avowed.
Yeah, so how did he explain it? How did it work?
So basically you move your left stick in the direction of how you, so there will be a sign come up.
Yeah, like Wingardium Leviosa,
or like Naruto.
Yeah.
I don't know if y'all ever played that Naruto game. They did that as well. You have to move the right and left stick like together or around in certain directions to cast or something like a ninjutsu. Okay, that's dope.
Jujitsu.
A jujitsu. I mean a ninjutsu. I meant to say. But yeah.
Well, look, we're going to move on to the big rumor that Jack keeps alluding to.
I don't know what this is.
definitely time to move into that. Even though there's still more to unpack with the showcase, and if we do unpack more,
how long have we been asking for this, though, Risk? How long have we been asking?
Well, this is not exactly what I wanted. This is not exactly what I wanted. But let's bring the chat.
Right.
If you guys have,
do you want me to read it?
Oh,
want me to read it, Risk?
It's all good. I've got it up. If you guys have just joined us, please hit that like button. Please hit that subscribe button. Share it out. Tell a friend. Tell your grandma. Tell your brother. Tell your sister. Tell the guy at the petrol station when you go there.
How you preach?
Bring everyone in. This is a great show. I love the show. I love this chat. I love these people. So thank you all for joining us. The rumor is that Warner Brothers may reportedly sell gaming studios, and Xbox, EA, and Sony are looking at interested parties. The actual tweet says I couldn't get enough confirmation to actually write a post about it, but hearing a decent bit of chatter this week about WB Discovery shopping their game development studios around. Interested parties include EA, Take-Two, Microsoft, Sony, Tencent, NetEase, PUBG Corp, WBD wants to sell studios and licensed IP. Supposedly, this is not exactly what I wanted. What I wanted was Microsoft to buy WB as a whole so that we could get some movie studios going, because that would have been amazing. Umbra, I will definitely go to you because, and then we'll go to Jack, because this is something that we've been speaking about for a while. We wanted to see WB for different reasons. I want to see Monolith. I want to see Rocksteady. I want to see a Batman IP come to Microsoft.
Oh, yes.
I think these are things that we need. But Umbra, your take on this? Do you think it's a possibility that Microsoft, with that ABK acquisition, and we'll talk about that later as well, getting a 98% vote from the shareholders to go through, do you think it's a possibility they might look at this?
I think it's obvious as a possibility. They've been in talks before. It fell through just because they wanted to, WB wanted to, at the time, to cease talks on that because the stock went up. And I think they were trying to sell for certain a few years ago. And they're in debt. They're in debt. There's nothing they can do. They have to get rid of something to gain some money to pay off the billions they owe. So to me, it was just a matter of time. What I'm hopeful for is that it's actually including, certain licenses. And I've been on this Rocksteady NetherRealm train for years now. So this was just made me smile even harder today reading that from Imran Khan. So absolutely, I think it's possible. The problem is, of course, with the ABK situation, is that Microsoft can't muddy the waters there too much, because it'll probably cause a disturbance in what they're trying to do. I don't know how that would all play out. And none of us really do, but I know they wouldn't try to do anything that's going to possibly cause that to, for the FTC to look at that and like, nah, they're doing too much. We're going to have to halt this. You never know. But absolutely,
can I
think
play
they
devil's
could.
advocate on you?
Sure.
So to get into, so you talked about muddying the waters, and I think that's the best analogy you could have used. You're not poisoning it, right? It's not outright going to tank. But
Right.
there is a little more. So I agree with it. I think a lot of people, though, are not familiar with sort of the intricacies of American antitrust legislation, right? So in order to really be in violation, or at least to be brought up, right, on, I don't want to say charges, but on allegations of monopolistic business practices, you would have to, and this is letter of the law, right? You would have to control 47% of a given market sector, right?
Right.
47% is the metric by which they will use to the point where you can be broken up or whatever under antitrust legislative provisions.
Mm-hmm.
If Microsoft bought Activision Blizzard, then bought Take-Two, then bought Ubisoft, then bought Warner Brothers, that would not be 47%. So I think I think a lot of people.
No, you're right there. But I'll give you a little bit of pushback. The problem is that these legislators, it's not even just the optics, but optics are obvious, right? But the problem is now you have these politicians now trying to move in.
That was my next point. Yeah, exactly.
That's the problem. But on top of that, they're of course, but you know what? They're never quite out, are they, though? We say that, but they've been there for 60 plus years. But before I go that way, I just want to say this, though. The issue is it's not so much them going to the area of monopolization in the realm of what you just described it as. They'll attack it in a different way. They'll attack it as far as, because even Wandering Dutch talked about this in our chat one time. They'll attack it in a way of streaming. So now they'll say Xbox is monopolizing the streaming area of gaming.
Right.
That's the issue.
Avenues of attack. I think
exactly.
I agree with that. But to take it back to, those attacks, if you look now, they're coming from like the usual suspects, right? And the Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, the Elizabeth Warrens, the Bernie Sanders. It's a very vocal far left minority. But I think people fail to realize that there is no doubt that in this country, right, come the elections in November, management is going to change. The current party in control of our body politic is going to get slaughtered. It's a foregone conclusion. Barring a miracle.
Look, Jack, I don't really want to get into the political side.
No, but I'm just saying the opposition to that.
I'll just say one thing.
Is going to lessen.
What happened with Elon Musk and Twitter. The fact of the matter is there are laws in America that say that you need to make money for your shareholders, so it doesn't really matter.
Sure, fiduciary responsibility is the law.
Yeah, fiduciary. Right. Yeah, exactly. So, but we don't really want to get into the political aspects of this.
No, I'm looking at it in terms of just the barriers to a potential. So he's right. There are several barriers. One is political opposition. I think that is always in flux, but particularly with our upcoming midterms, it's not up for debate. That the voices that would be hostile to this will be far lessened in number and influence. So I'm on the political front, this sort of involving the FTC and invoking these antitrust calls, that's going to lessen. So I'm looking at it in the sense that it can be done. In terms of the law, right, there's a number of ways they can attack it. I mean, but they could simply say, well, we're not going to stream it, or we're not going to do this, or we're not going to,
They can go those directions, but I don't think they'll say that just because the streaming is so major to Game Pass. But I'll say this just to move on past that is that I'm hopeful that it could. I don't know if it'll cause issues because of what they're trying to acquire right now with ABK. But damn, do I want them to get them so bad? Because Rocksteady and NetherRealm have been at the top of my tongue for years, like I said. And can you imagine? Because I clamored for us having a superhero game on the Xbox, right? I know people they dismiss it like, well, we have Master Chief. Yeah, Master Chief in some terms, great, of course. Yeah, but he's not.
Spider-Man sells as well as Kratos.
Exactly. And Spider-Man is my favorite comic character of all time. Batman is number 2, literally. Could you believe that? So what better representation outside of the X-Men because of the X and all that for Xbox could you have than having Batman here on Xbox, home to Xbox, where you can only play him on Xbox with Rocksteady development. The best comic game developers out there.
I think you look at it in terms of the barrier, right? In pure legalese, it wouldn't violate antitrust. In terms of political opposition, that will fluctuate. In terms of financial opposition, well, there's very little financial opposition that will overcome Microsoft's coffers. So I think when you put all of these factors together, is it doable? Yeah, it's absolutely doable. Are the waters, like you said, muddied? Of course they are. They're going to get muddied. They're muddy already. But I don't even think the chances would be 50-50. I think you're still, maybe not comfortably, but I think you're still looking at a 60-40, even if they went for 2 or 3 of these studios. So it can be done. I think Microsoft at this juncture has to know from a sales point how successful Sony's endeavors with comic book heroes have been. With Spider-Man, they've got Wolverine upcoming, Spider-Man 2. They tease the Hulk. There's rumors of Blade, and that's raw lucre.
Definitely the Hulk. Profit. I think they're definitely trying to make their own little MCU.
Yeah, I think the Hulk. Yeah, because we saw that license plate in the trailer.
I think that what happened when Warner Brothers was trying to sell their studios before is AT&T came in.
Yes,
and I think that all got pushed back. But see, and that deal's gone through now. I think it went through on Friday or something, and now they are actually looking to sell. And I think the gaming division is something that they've always wanted to get rid of, and I think it's a perfect time to do so now because the stocks and the prices of gaming companies have just gone up dramatically. Developers are just they're rare. They're a rare commodity out there. People with this talent are just in demand at the moment. And if they can individually sell them and make more money that way, they'll do so. But I don't discount the fact that they could sell it individually as a whole. I do think it's quite unfortunate that the deal with Activision hasn't gone through, and I think Microsoft would particularly want to stay quiet. But if if somebody else is looking to buy them, I don't think Microsoft can really afford to just stay out of it. I think they have to be involved in that conversation.
Yeah.
It will be a lot harder to buy it at this point in time. Look, if they just had to buy them individually...
Exactly what I was saying in the green room earlier on today. I think if they were going to take a risk on a studio or a set of studios while this ABK acquisition is going through,
it has to be.
I think it would definitely be WB, but I wanted to just get to Hargeet's comment because it is extremely valid and Hargeet has a lot of knowledge in this area. The FTC is going into areas it doesn't have under its charter. The FTC can create some stipulations to allow the deal to go through. If the FTC do sue to stop it, it is the courts have the weight of the argument. It is the court's decision.
Yes.
And one of those stipulations could also be on what studios, how big, and how many Microsoft can acquire after the ABK deal does go through. I think it will go through. So, look, that's a thing. I do think, like I said, I agree with Pete. You're absolutely right. I was talking about in the green room with Jack earlier today. If there's a studio or a set of studios that they're going to take a risk on, it's got to be WB. Because I'm on the side that we need a superhero franchise. It'd be nice to have.
Yep.
And I think those IPs will come with WB, but we haven't heard from Cutie on this acquisition rumor. What are your thoughts on this?
I agree with you, Vicky. I think that if they are going to take a risk,
isn't that cute?
What? What?
I'm sorry, David. Sorry.
Oh, I call
Couldn't
him
resist,
Vicky.
could you, Jedi?
No, I like you said, if they're going to take a risk, they might as well take it with WB, and the superhero franchise is just, I think it's a smart move, and if they can make it happen, I think they should.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, and
look, before you go, as a whole, I just want them to pick up Rocksteady. Because they are, just Rocksteady. And then, look, we were talking about Killer Instinct before. Why not pick up NetherRealm? I mean, it's a place
Jedi
where...
gets it. Jedi gets it, you see. Now, I want to ask this, Riz, can you make a poll? Look, that's where I'm going with it. Riz, can you make a poll for the chat that asks, if we could acquire 2 studios only from WB, considering also the license that could come with it?
Well, I think
let's say we can get
Rocksteady,
No, but I'm talking about 2. So we got to have 2 apiece. So it's got to be Rocksteady and another one. So let's say if you could acquire 2, this is the question. Rocksteady and NetherRealm or Rocksteady and Monolith? That's the question.
Oh, Monolith, yeah.
What
so
would the chat say?
Between NetherRealm and Monolith. So
NetherRealm.
Okay, since we already know Rocksteady is a foregone conclusion. Okay, so between, I hear what you're saying. So then ask the chat then. Yeah, there we go. Between Rocksteady, between NetherRealm and Monolith, because my reasoning was just what we went to, Jedi, which is not only just the Killer Instinct franchise being revived by them, which they've spoken on, Ed Boon has spoken on wanting to work on, by the way, but also getting that Mortal Kombat license and having them make that. We know right now Mortal Kombat sells like gangbusters. And Microsoft and Xbox itself has been missing on that fighting genre right now. What better way than to have MK exclusive to Xbox?
Well, listen, guys,
that's much bigger.
There's something that I think everyone's missing here. That there's not only just 2 studios within. I mean, just drop it in the chat because it's hard to do a poll where you guys can actually. Everyone's just ticking yes. But drop it in the chat.
Wait a minute. What's this question, Riz?
Yeah, it's terrible.
Yeah, do you want to
wait a minute. Look at the question he asked. What is this question, Riz?
Yeah, look, I was typing and looking up some things as well. There's something else that you guys are missing, I think, that no one's talking about. You are aware that Avalanche Studios is owned by WB as well. So you've got Avalanche Studios, you've got Rocksteady, you've got NetherRealms, and you've got Monolith. And don't forget that Monolith has got the Nemesis system, and that is a trademark copyright system that they can also sell. So there is a lot of studios there that could be acquired, and there's already been a lot of talk about Avalanche Software coming over to
Okay,
Microsoft.
so let's go one for NetherRealm, 2 for Monolith, 3 for Avalanche,
and then 4 for WB Montreal.
Hold on.
I would put Montreal.
Hold on, wait. What's the number again, Pete?
Yeah, so 1 for NetherRealm, 2 for Monolith, and 3 for Avalanche.
Oh, Avalanche is already eliminated. So let's just say Let's just say
Montreal, you got the Knights, WB Montreal.
Yeah, but that's not good enough though compared to Monolith, what they offer and what NetherRealm offers, I would say.
Yeah,
but those are the 3 selections. So 1 for like you said, NetherRealm, 2 for Monolith, 3 for Avalanche.
Yeah, I can only poll for 2, so that poll was never going to work. We're definitely going to go with the numbers here. Look, I just think acquire the whole goddamn thing. Just grab the whole thing. And they
might think like Umbra.
Exactly.
And then,
like
wait,
Jack
you're willing to go to brinkmanship like that? So here's the thing. So I agree with you, because I'm willing to do it too. But I think it's important we remember the stakes at play, right? So I'm with you, risk it 100%, right? A lot of people want to just acquire this.
There's a lot of ones in the chat, boys.
That's what I'm saying. Well,
throw those ones up, fellas.
I think that they should go for all of WB, right? I do. I agree with you. I think the problem then, right, because you're not going to get another opportunity. It's just not going to happen. So you have to, it's like you got to risk it all at this point. The problem is at that point, we are putting everything with ABK on. Well, not everything, but we are severely exposing ABK to, that cause of federal oversight. So, yeah. So, but I say do it as well. I think that's interesting. I would almost wonder with the rest of the panel.
Here's the thing. What would likely, this is what I think would likely happen, and I'm not massively political, and I'm sure Hargate's going to say that I'm wrong, and possibly Jack might. I think what would happen if they made a play for WB, the worst I think that could happen isn't that they would lose the opportunity to acquire ABK. I think what would happen, the worst that could happen, is the FTC could put a stipulation down saying that you cannot acquire WB. So I think that's the worst.
Well, you could get injunctions. Yeah, I mean, they could. Yeah,
maybe they can just have it. Maybe they just have it where it has to stay multi-plat. Maybe that'll be the case.
Exactly.
Yeah, it could be as simple as that. A Bungie.
The chat.
But see, there's no real. So if you have to keep those DC titles multi-plat, the impetus to acquire them outright, it's lessened. I don't think. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying you got to gatekeep it entirely, because those franchises are successful. Wonder Woman's going to be great. Suicide Squad's going to be great. Gotham Knights is going to be great. We all want another Arkham, extension. It's going to be good. I think Lord of the Rings, Shadow of War, Shadow of Mordor. These are great games. We're talking about studios that, I mean, if they're talking about parceling off the IPs with these studios, right? I mean, you're looking at Lord of the Rings. You're looking at Harry Potter. You're looking at, you are looking at The Matrix. You're looking at DC. I mean, there is a lot at play there. I think acquiring WB in its entirety would be almost Bethesda level, a ZeniMax Bethesda level.
Wouldn't it be crazy?
So I agree with
crazy, man.
Well, there's 15. It's probably not quite there, but there is 15 studios within their stables, and that isn't right. It's no small amount of studios right there.
I mean, to be able to get Monolith, to be able to get NetherRealm, to be able to get Rocksteady, and let's say the different Avalanche here, absolutely, I would be for that. The biggest thing though is getting those licenses, because if we can get DC, if you can get Lord of the Rings, come on, two super major titles right there.
Exactly.
Major IP, yes, and hasn't been done justice outside of Shadow of War.
Right.
I mean, I'm curious. Is Portkey Games the guys doing Hogwarts Legacy? That's WB Games, right? Portkey.
That's right.
Yeah, it is.
So you're right. So you're looking at Harry Potter. Lord of the
Harry
Rings.
Potter too. I forgot about that one.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's so many boxes. I think as exposed as Microsoft would be, not just in terms of optics, but in terms of Uncle Sam's wrath. I still say go for it. I'm with risk it. I don't think there's a better opportunity, and I think if this opportunity is not taken, they're essentially, you'll miss 100% of the shots you don't take, and I think risk it's right. I think they have to pull the trigger, or they have to attempt to, and even if they've got to fight it out and litigate it out, that doesn't matter. Microsoft will litigate longer than the federal government. It's got more money to do so. It doesn't have to tax you.
And look, it's a worthwhile thing. And what is possibly worse is allowing Tencent or allowing Sony to acquire, from Microsoft's point of view. I mean, I'm not going to go with Colin Moriarty's. It would be fucking, what did he say? Egregious or
heinous.
Fucking, he's heinous. Anyway, moving on. So Hargate Chatty said, look, if the FTC make a stipulation like that, Microsoft should take them to court. It's too much for them to block any potential acquisition. They can only assess a merger to see its impact on consumers, and that is why they should take the shot. They've already got the vote. Once you've got that vote, you're not free, and you're not free and clear, but you are fairly free and clear. It's jumped from an 80% chance of that deal going through up to about a 95, in my personal opinion. You may disagree, Huggy. You may disagree, Jack, Jedi.
They got some more regulators to go through. I mean, regulations to go through. Unfortunately, I think it's done.
The shareholders were always going to vote for it. They would have made sure of that before they made a $3 billion payment. I don't think that deal's any further along today because of that vote at all. What is stopping this is, well, I don't want to get political, but the FTC basically making it political.
Right.
Yeah,
it's not so much the FTC as the actual politicians that's trying to get involved, and for obvious reasons, money.
Yeah,
but to stray from that though, my only thing is this: I think with the confidence that it was sold at, with 98% going through, it just speaks to the overall confidence of the deal going through in general. They have no real leg to stand on to go against this acquisition. That's what while we're on this,
Jason Schreier earlier in the week wrote an article saying that the stock market was looking unfavorably upon this deal, and here's what he had to say in brief, and I quote: "The deal will be reviewed by the Federal Trade Commission, the FTC, which is led by Arkane, who has long advocated for a more forceful approach to reviewing deals, particularly by the biggest technology companies. Under her leadership, the agency has blocked Nvidia Corp's acquisition of ARM Ltd, as well as Lockheed Martin Corp's deal for Aerojet Rocketdyne Holdings Incorporated. She also resurrected the FTC's monopoly case against Meta Platforms, Inc., which seeks to split off WhatsApp and Instagram, which is basically, we're talking about Facebook there.
Facebook, Zuckerberg, yeah.
But this is a lot. And then, I don't know if you've heard about Hoag's Law, but his quote to that entire article was complete, unmitigated bullshit. And
I loved Hoag's video on that, by the way. He dismissed it immediately.
Yeah, and it's a standard. I mean, the dropping of share price by 1% is a standard. Because every deal.
Anything involves a degree of uncertainty. I mean, that's just the nature of it. And I think you're 100% right. I think, and so really all the FTC can do, right? In order for them to shit can it, the FTC, this is effectively what they'd have to do. They would have to prove that the consequences or the ramifications of any merger would be directly harmful to a given consumer base, right? So if I mean, there's a lot to be said, in terms of Game Pass and all that. The problem is, what metrics are they going to use? You talk about like Lena Khan. Well, here's the thing about Lena Khan. When you're looking at things, in aerospace, like you just mentioned, or you're looking at things in microchip fabrication, that is a much smaller, much more finite market, right? There's only 4 or 5. I mean, who are you looking at? You're looking at Northrop Grumman, Boeing, right? There's only half a dozen companies on the planet that compete for that. You look at gaming; it's much more diverse. I mean, it's not just Sony, Nintendo, and Microsoft. People forget Tencent and Embracer and all these other. It's different. It's a different beast. So I understand what they're saying, and I think Shawnee would probably agree with me on that. But these are wildly separate market sectors where the metrics for how to shit can them or allow them to proceed are wildly different across the board. It's when you're selling F-35s, or rocket boosters, there's 2-3 companies that can do that. The impact is much greater across the board. And that's why, or even if you look at big tech, yes, you're looking at Meta and you're looking at, but even that's smaller than gaming, even if gaming comes from, in this case, a Microsoft umbrella. This is more entertainment, and that's a much larger, much wider net you have to cast in order to make your case. So I think you're right, Risk It. I think it's time to try to pull the trigger. I think because you're not going to get a better opportunity, and that's just, I mean, it's not going to happen. You have to do it now. Time is quite literally of the essence on this one.
And the reason why Activision Blizzard's stock dropped, although I do think people are betting short on the deal not going through, or some people are, but the reason why the stock dropped and it's at its lowest since they announced the acquisition is active users on Call of Duty are continually going down, and they lost quite a lot this quarter. So that's the reason. The deal is still a fantastic deal, and they have a fiduciary responsibility to their shareholders. And at $95 a share, that is still a premium. So,
and Johnny's saying it right now, even in the chat. I mean, I don't mean to, but and I was just about to say it, but he beat me to it by typing it. I mean, you know, this sort of the Game Pass being sort of a monopolistic. You know, Johnny's absolutely right. If you look in the chat, I mean, this merger of PS Plus and PS Premium or whatever the hell it was. That takes it. I mean, that mitigates a lot of the damage. They are in the game.
Yeah,
that was a conversation that me and you, Jack, had a bit of a heated discussion about.
Yes.
Not too long ago, because as I was saying, they can narrow their focus down to a specific area of gaming. You know, like mobile, like services, like all those sorts of things. But now, as Hargeet said, very clever man, they've taken that off the table, because you look at Game Pass with 28 million subs, 25 million subs.
To PS Plus is 40 million.
Exactly.
40, what is it, 40, 45, something like that?
That's not even an issue.
That's what I'm... Right. I mean, I don't know. I would imagine it's 40, 45 million. Johnny's got it at 40 million right there. So that's the arena. That's sort of where I imagined it would be too, Johnny. And I think now's the time to pull the trigger. You are as insulated. If you are Microsoft right now, you will never be more insulated against the sort of blowback from fucking this deal up, so to speak. So you have to pull the trigger. This is the best you're gonna get in terms of your opportunity, in terms of where your competition's at. I mean, we know Sony is allegedly going to announce an acquisition of its own. Now they got their new PS tier. I mean, you have the ability to take more flack than you would have beforehand, and I think they have to go for it. And not going for it, that would be fucking heinous.
That would be heinous, yeah, just like Colin Moriarty's face. Look, if you've just joined us, please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. I've got a disdain for Colin. Sorry, Colin, you're a dick. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, share us out, get some strong opinions, but some honest opinions.
Risk, I was trying to get Colin on the show. That just canceled the plan. No, I'm joking.
Sorry, Colin. We love you here, mate. You'll get a fair chop, I guarantee. Look,
there you go. Look, you too, Jason. Come on through.
Any guests that we do bring on, if they're combative or against, you guys will always get a fair chop. I'm speaking directly to someone else who may be watching the show today, who I've had a conversation with, who does generally get into discourse with me on Twitter. We don't.
Does he have a nemesis?
We don't dogpile people on the show. It wouldn't happen. So. Everyone's welcome here, and you're welcome to have it.
David Jaffe, please hear us.
What was that?
David Jaffe, please be listening.
We are summoning David Jaffe.
Yeah, we invoke you, oh God of God of War.
Namyo Horenge Kyo.
Exactly.
What was that?
Listen, I think
that was my intent.
I just wanted to point out what Kenji Hayabusa said in the chat. So she said, honestly, as a Sony girl, I have to say that PlayStation did their thing with the new membership options and opportunities. No shade, but Xbox should follow suit. They have potential. I mean, Xbox have tiers. They have Ultimate or just Game Pass. And so I think people tend to forget that you can just get Game Pass for PC, or you can just get Game Pass for console. Ultimate includes games with gold and EA Play also, and I think it's a much better deal.
Yeah.
And I think that the premium tier that PlayStation Plus is putting up there is the reason why they are trying to charge for demos now. It's the reason why they've done it. It's created a problem for them that they wanted to add value to that premium tier, which I don't think it currently has.
There's
which
also a family tier coming for Game Pass. People forget that. It's going to get a
push them to basically sell demos, which I think is a joke.
I predict that Sony will actually take away the tiers and simplify it to one of.
I think so too. Yeah. I think the backlash even. I think it's been very hard. I mean, because I have PlayStation 5 too. I love playing great PlayStation games. Admittedly not to the degree I enjoy Xbox, but I love playing PlayStation games. I think there's been a fair bit of backlash to that, even within the. And then, it
deserves a backlash. By the way, just to cut in for a second, the reason why it's so shady too is because their tiers are so silly. If you look at the expert and the ultimate or whatever it is. Yep. It makes the middle tier redundant to even have. They're forcing you to either get the first or the third. Mm-hmm. It's very deceptive.
You could have bought 3 years of Xbox Live Gold, and then it would have transferred over to Game Pass. Sony just announced, I think today or yesterday, that basically you cannot stack. And if you buy the cheaper tier, it will basically be cut in half. So I mean,
Yeah, well, Australia
look,
doesn't even
there
have
are massive
access to
differences
the.
there.
Yeah,
to
you
the-
guys
true.
don't
Yeah.
have
That's
that
true.
even. Yeah,
No,
that's
we
a
don't.
travesty in and of itself with the size of your gaming community. That honestly, so I didn't know that when I was told. I think Pete and Risket had to tell me. I find that to be kind of an egregious.
Well, it's not just it's not just
misstep.
us, but you're talking about South America. You're talking about a lot of the Asian countries. There's a lot
Yeah.
of gamers that they're not even touching with those tiers. And look, as Umbra said, I completely agree. I was thinking exactly the same thing. The tiers that Sony has put out just don't make sense. They just don't make any sense.
They do.
Yeah,
They do.
They definitely don't. They don't make any sense. Like Pete said, the middle tier is completely redundant. There's no point having it.
Well,
you may as well
right. Well,
not
that's
have
how
it.
you're gauging it in terms of no. Okay, so when you say they don't make sense, if you are a remotely financially literate individual that's a consumer, yes, I can see what you're saying. Because you look at that middle tier and you're like, the fuck. But if you're Sony, right, and Microsoft wants to do the same thing, so I think it's a little unfair to sort of to throw a grenade at Sony for this, for wanting to do the same thing, right? I think the way they're going about it is a little more underhanded, at least to me. But they want you at that highest tier, and they have to give you that lowest tier, right? So essentially, what they do is they make
they don't need the
I
middle
think
tier.
the middle tier is quite good. I think the top tier is what is a joke. I mean, basically, you're getting streaming PS3 games, which should have come to the platform for free, like Xbox is doing with their backwards compatibility program, and
But the
they're
problem,
trying to
Pete, is
bolster
that
it
they're
with
talking about
definitely.
price
charging
difference.
for demos, which is a
and
joke.
nobody's
It's the
saying
price
that-
difference is
Pushback
what
with the
it is.
community.
But I think no, and I
Hang
agree
on a
with
second.
you.
Hang on a second.
Nobody's
I want to go to
saying-
Umbra. What were you saying there about price?
It's the price differencing that is the issue. It's more or less a trick to force you into either the first or the third tier. The second tier is only there to push you into the third
It's a
tier.
place filler, yeah.
That's exactly what I was.
But that's the same thing.
And
If
look,
I were to get one, I would stick with the second tier, the mid tier. I think it makes more sense. I think it's enough of an equivalent to Game Pass without actually having day and date. You're able to download those games, play them the way they're meant to be played.
So what
and
you're
you
saying
also
is,
get the
Pete, hang on a minute.
benefits of-
What we're saying is that you wouldn't pay $1.60 a month to just get that extra gear in there, the demos for $1.60.
No, because the streaming on PlayStation is a joke. It's much, much better on xCloud. There's much less lag. It plays a lot better.
Right, that'll evolve. So here's the thing, right? So I think it's easy when you compare these new services to Game Pass, right? Yes, I think not only in terms of the day and date content or the value proposition, yes, they're incomparable. What Game Pass does to that thing is the equivalent, of a curb stomping. It's an ass beating. And nobody can deny that. I think it's disingenuous for anyone to suggest otherwise. But I think what you do need to give Sony credit for, right? And I absolutely think they deserve credit for this, is by putting that middle tier bullshit, and that's effectively what it is, right? They want to shoehorn you either into the bottom or the top. They want to know what their player base is willing to spend, right? I mean, it's all analytics at that point. And it is. Obviously they're going to do that. That's just smart marketing. You can say from a player, as a consumer, yes, you don't like it. As a PS5, I don't like it any more than you do. And at the end, and these PS3 games, right? You're saying, okay, you're paying more to get those. It should have come with the console. I think everybody agrees with that. But at the end of the day, being able to get them, it's still an innovation. It's still a step forward. Granted, it is a lot
I think
later.
that's a massive reach to say it's an innovation.
Well, they didn't have it, now they will. You know what I mean?
It's like saying a
Something
plastic
that
bag
didn't-
to use as a condom is a fucking innovation. Like, it's a step.
Yeah, well,
This is what I mean.
Go
ahead.
You need that PlayStation community that shills for PlayStation to start pushing back, or they're going to be stuck with these prices. I think Boba Fett made a great point. It's $6 in
that.
Australia to
Yeah.
pay for demos extra a month. What a disgrace. There needs to be pushback within the community now, or you're going to be stuck with these prices. And I think that it's just
But
too
they seem
stark
happy with it.
comparison with.
But when are they
Game
never
Pass at the moment
unhappy
now.
though, Jack?
But that's
I mean,
what I'm saying.
eventually,
But they're never
these
going to
narratives are
complain
not
about
going to
it.
stop.
Well, right.
No,
so why
but
would
they
it ever
need
change?
to. They need to.
That's
Yeah, but it's never
But
going to
they're
happen.
happy. I don't
Look at
think they need to. If
MBK got like absolutely destroyed. He deleted his account.
MBG.
because-
Look
MBG,
at,
yeah,
look
so-
at,
because
look at the
he
sales
he
both
said it was
February
great
and
value.
March.
His exact words were, "What great value paying for demos." Basically, I mean, it's absolutely
Right.
crazy. They won't push back. You're right, Pete. They
Yeah.
need to. They need to push back. But
They
every
definitely
time you
will.
interact with any of these guys, and I interact with a lot of them, it's just stupid, stoic bullshit, and they don't want to push back because that might mean that they're wrong. They are so afraid of being wrong.
I don't
and
think
that their box is wrong.
It's definitely that. The thing is that,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna tell you why we know it's that, because we know for a fact if this was Microsoft doing it, what would they be saying, Jack? Let's just be
Because
real.
we're
Just
a
look at it the
different-
opposite way.
Yeah.
We're a different.
But look at
I
it.
agree.
You're
We're a
looking at it
different
as a
community.
natural, neutral guy. That's the problem. Look at it. Put the hooves on really quick, and then turn it around.
I can't. You never go full recap.
Microsoft. Yeah, right. But that's my point. If PlayStation gamers were getting Game Pass and we had this announced for us, they would be destroying us left and right
Right,
now.
sure. But
And
what
we
I-
would
but
be
what I-
complaining. We would actually
I agree,
be
and we
complaining.
do.
And we would
What I'm
actually
saying is-
complain, right?
You have to. I'm saying as an Xbox gamer, right? Well, I mean, I play PlayStation as well. I know risk it. Sometimes you do a monthly power check
No, I've
too.
literally
right?
taken
Oh, it's a drop
my
box? Is it a
HDMI
power
cord
check?
out. I needed the HDMI cord for something else. I think I'm like tying the dog up with it or something. So
so you're cannibalizing it. Okay. So
Hey, listen, I
cannibalizing-
appreciate PlayStation, by the way. I want to throw that out there. I just
Oh, look-
prefer Xbox.
so do I.
Look,
I
I think you guys have really really touched on a point that's actually really obvious, and I've actually heard it quite a bit within my own gaming community. And basically, people have said that people who play PlayStation, or who are mostly PlayStation gamers, they're often a lot more quiet, a lot more to themselves and individual gamers, whereas the Xbox community is a lot more
multiplayer, yeah.
Social.
friendly. So therefore, I feel like there's actually more of a space for Xbox gamers to be vocal and to feel like they're supported, because there's more of a participation from the whole community. Whereas I think PlayStation doesn't. It's something that they just don't have.
Oh, you wait.
Well, they've always
you wait.
prided
Hang on a
them-
minute, Jack. Hang on. You've just joined Twitter. It's fairly recent. You wait. You are going to see some absolute craziness. You wait. You think these guys
you
are
will
quiet?
be corrupted soon enough.
They're extremely vocal, and some of them are extremely stupid.
Well, then why wouldn't they? Okay, well, maybe stupid is the reason why they're not saying anything. But I mean, if they do have that support behind them, and they're very vocal, then I don't know why they wouldn't just say, "Hey, what is
because
this shit?"
it doesn't justify their box. Because if they're wrong, then they think they're going to get it from the Microsoft community. But what they would hear from me is this. About time.
Agreed.
It's about time you stepped up and told Sony that what they're doing.
And that's what I would say. Good for them for stepping up to say, hey, this is not good enough. But they wouldn't do it. They won't do it. It's very rare that they'll do it. Like I almost said the Grand Theft Auto, but the GT7 situation, they were forced to say that because we started saying it, and then they realized, there's no way out of this. We have to admit that this is a trashy situation they put us in here with the micro transaction situation. They were forced to say that.
I mean, and we revolted when they wanted to raise prices before, at least on the Xbox.
Absolutely.
I mean,
Revolted.
but that's
not only just that, but many things.
Sure,
Well,
right. No,
Overfed just said in the chat, that Sony dictates what they want, and that's it.
But they're happy to let and that's what I'm saying. These are fundamental. Yes, it is a gaming community, but I think that the nature of at least the PlayStation primary gamer, and the Xbox primary game, I think are fundamentally two different. So here's the thing, right? And people fail. There was
just want to say, Umbra, and that pushback that we did actually got that decision reversed within 24 hours. That is the power of it.
Like 8 hours, I think, exactly. Like
that wouldn't happen with Sony. Sony wouldn't do that.
But
It took them 2 weeks to reverse their decision with Horizon Forbidden West. It took them 2 weeks to come around and go, all right, yeah. We did say that, and we did say that we wouldn't be charging extra, but from now on, we're going to be charging extra. Just so you know, we're going to be taking it. We're going to be taking it straight out your ass. So this is the last time. And then when they released the Horizon Forbidden West, they were so quiet about that. A lot of the casuals got completely ripped off. And that is true. Absolutely disgusting.
The narrative is changing, but Risket, and this is what I mean, because look at the sales figures of just February and March, and you can't say the Xbox has had a lot of games. Yes, the chip shortages could have something to do with it, and probably do, but the narrative is changing out there, not only with our hardcores, but with the casuals too, and there's a lot of suggestion that Xbox is much better value, not only more powerful like we all think, but much better value this generation, and Sony need to stamp that out as soon as they can, and a big way they can do that is by changing the narrative, by changing the pricing on this new service and make it more equivalent to Game Pass. They need to do something now, or if it's going to start to affect their bottom line, and it starts with the consumer.
Yeah, absolutely. That's facts. I am going to move on, Jack, from this because we've talked about this for way too long, and we came to this from ABK, and the fact that this PS Plus has basically opened the door for Microsoft to make that decision and go after WB. So look, we'll move on from this. We all have our extreme personal feelings about PS Plus. But look, something else. So much has been happening this week. It's out of control. I wish they would spread this stuff out. But Halo Season 2 deep dive. Now, look, this was absolutely amazing. I got a chance to sit down and watch this for the hour and a half that it went for. And there was a lot to unpack in there. And some of the main points that I took away was they're extremely apologetic. And they know that they are lacking content. They know that they've got issues within the game and that they are prioritizing hot fixes. And they're also, and now we did have a discussion about this, but they're also talking about doing pod drops, which is basically what they wanted to do was content pod drops. Now, initially they said that it would be hot fixes throughout when they're ready. So when they're ready, they'll drop them instead of waiting for a next season. But they want to get to a point where they can drop content in these pod drops. And I assume they would like to get there through Season 2, being that it's 6 months long, and no one's happy about this. No one is happy about the 6 month. But look, I think it's a small something that they're giving back to the community, and they're really making an effort with these pod drops. It's something that I took away, and I actually came away quite positive. And that, look, 343's had the shit beat out of him, and really the only person that should have the shit beat out of him is Bonnie Ross. Pete, what do you think about these pod drops?
I watched it over again, and although because I know we spoke about this yesterday, Riskit, I know that you said that they're going to be getting content in these pod drops, and I think that might be coming. But if you actually look at the Season 2 roadmap, it says quality of life improvements, and then the drop pod picture. So I think for the first 6 months, it's just the drop pods are just going to be quality of life improvements. One of those include one I'm very happy for. The armor cores are going to be basically all incorporated together. So if you have a coloring for a Mark 7, you can use it on the Mark 5 and visors and things like that. Now they're going to start with color codings, and then they're going to eventually move on to things like shoulder pads, knee pads, things like that. Now this won't be included with your samurai outfit because they just don't work together. But in terms of the Mark 5B and the Mark 7, yes, you'll be able to mix them. So that's what the drop pods are going to be mostly about. They're going to be about quality of life improvements. But I just wanted to say thank God for Joe Staten. We have been crying out for Halo, or the people at 343 to just talk to us, to communicate with us. And he came out and he said it. We're not happy about it. We know the community is not happy about it. We've heard you. We are trying our best. We had to work out things in the background. We are eventually going to get there. This man, he just seems to ooze passion, and he just got rid of so many of the fears that we had just by speaking to us directly. And yeah, it was a magical moment. It means a lot. I do believe that they are heading in a positive direction now, and I can't wait. It's a couple of days away now. Cannot wait for Season 2.
Absolutely. And before we move on to next panelist, I will say that we are having Footed Ghost. Footed Ghost is a Halo content creator, and we'll be having him just after the Season 2 drop. And so that's going to be really good to really deep dive into what we all think of Season 2 and what a Halo creator thinks of Season 2 and where we're at. Umbra, are you excited? Did you get a chance to watch this this deep dive? I thought it was amazing. They even deep dived into what we'll be getting through the Battle Pass, and what we're getting is miles ahead of what they released for Season 1. I couldn't be happier. Look, I know it's only 2 maps, but I do think that they will be trying in the back end, and me and Pete disagree, and you can hear it, that with these pod drops in the back end, they'll be trying to put content into these pod drops to appease the community. And look, it could possibly be a map. I'm 50-50 on that. Umbra, you excited?
Yeah, I am excited, but then again, I'm a Halo thought, right? Get me lit. But my whole thing is that absolutely. I mean,
right there with you, brother.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sorry. I've tried to resist, but there's no going back. But I love the franchise, so seeing them actually put some good stuff out there, I'm going to celebrate it for sure. I still have my reservations with the whole 2-map situation, but when we had our discussions, Risk, and you mentioned that they said they would have pod drops and stuff like that, I heard that, but I thought they were talking about like updates and stuff like that. But if it's actually,
they were.
That's what I thought. But if it was actually,
okay, so let me clarify exactly what he said. He said we would like to get to a point where we can put content in the pod drops. Initially, it will be quality of life improvements. I don't think he even said quality of life improvements. I think he said like hot fixes and fixes to the game. But he said he would like to get there. That's not a guarantee that he will get there, but that's something that that's what they're looking at doing. And to me, that's a great thing. So that's something to get excited about.
Well, if they could do that, if they could do that, I would hope they could, because that was one of my things I said in a previous podcast, and I said it on Twitter, is that this wasn't enough what we got, and during the season, if they could drop a map or two, I think that would go a long way to alleviating a lot of people's anger over what we are getting. But I am happy with what we saw. The customization, the items and such look great. I like a lot of the armors and such I've seen. What I will say too is, I believe with Certain Affinity, something we didn't discuss, by the way, for the showcase, I think Certain Affinity, they'll show something with them at the showcase. They may show what they've been working on. And as a buddy of mine, Crusader, who was here earlier, I'm not sure if he's still here, he made a tweet where he posted from Reddit, where it was talking about those numbers and that little that little screen tear AI situation thing was possibly pointing to
there was a break in the battle pass, and they showed like a very Warzone kind of COD type thing where they break in.
Exactly.
Yeah, it was really
like they were hacked and such.
Oh, it was straight out of Cyberpunk from E3.
yeah, that too. But he said that the numbers alluded to the day it was showcased, which was the other day, and the other ones were 6/06/14, which is 2 days after the showcase. So maybe a Certain Affinity will announce what they're doing and actually drop that. Maybe that'll be kind of the shadow drop that we would get for the show on the 14th.
And that would make sense when you think about what happened with Certain Affinity and how they announced they'd be working closely with Microsoft and 343. Absolutely. They've seen the mode. The mode is ready. 343 was super happy with the mode. Microsoft was super happy with the mode, and that's why they're moving on to continue working on what they're saying. But they had it obviously at a state where 343 felt comfortable, Microsoft felt comfortable to bring them on board in a more meaningful way.
Yeah, absolutely. But seeing what Certain Affinity could bring to the table, I know. Listen, they have a lot of ex-Bungie studio developers there too, so it's more or less just bringing them back into the fold. It's more like having Bungie 2.0, bringing them into the fold in general. And all of us are thinking they'll be acquired at some point. But yeah, man, I'm
They've been
thinking
working on
that
Halo for a while, haven't they, Umbra?
They have,
Time.
and the CEO and owner or whatever and creator of the studio was the UI, UX designer and such for Halo 2 and 3. So I mean, it's just the DNA is all there for Bungie with them. So absolutely, and some of the ex-Bungie developers that left to go with Bungie came back to go to Certain Affinity. So absolutely, so bringing them in, I think they might showcase something with them at the showcase. To see what we got, and maybe that'll drop in between this season as well. And maybe Joe didn't want to speak on that because it's going to be an announcement at the showcase, right? Exactly. So maybe that's the case. But I'm happy with what I'm seeing so far. I'm just expecting to possibly see what Certain Affinity is going to announce, and if it comes in season 3 or after, okay, it is what it is. But I'm hoping that it'll happen sooner than later.
I know we're only getting a little bit of maps, so we're getting a couple of maps and a couple of modes for Season 2, but what I was really excited about is Joe was talking about playing network co-op, and I cannot wait to play Halo campaign with you guys. I mean,
absolutely.
And he confirmed 4-player co-op. I think we talked about it before.
Yep.
We were really worried about them only being 2-player because of the problems that they were having, but it's confirmed 4-player. He's played the mode. It's working well. And that is coming mid-season 2. And then on top of that, you're going to get the Forge beta, which he also confirmed as being the full suite. It's going to have everything that is involved in Forge will be there in the beta. So it's not going to be just a sampling of it. So these will really, really help extend the life of Season 2 more than we got in Season 1. So yeah, look, I think Boba said it in the chat. Love Joe. Joe coming out just alleviated so many of my fears. And the Battle Pass looks fantastic. I'm really happy that they're adding a lot of free things. So in the first 50 levels, really, a lot of the really cool stuff is given away for free. You don't even need to buy the Battle Pass. It's not until you get to the later levels where, you know, some of the payment system or the paying for the premium Battle Pass really starts to kick off. But I'm really excited to get some more casuals in there that don't want to pay for the Battle Pass, but they've got something to strive for. Yeah, just they've really listened to the community. You can see it in what he said. And look, I just can't wait for May 3rd.
Yeah, Jedi, I am so with you there. Yeah, the campaign mission replay, which is due in, I think, late August, they said.
Yep.
I think that's going to be so much fun, and I know a lot of people are looking forward to it because there are some people that don't actually play the online content. They like the campaign. So I think, yeah, bringing them back to that will be fantastic. And I actually didn't know that it was going to be 4 players, so that's going to be amazing. Also, the new game modes, King of the Hill, Land Grab, and Last Spartan Standing, brilliant ideas, love it, can't wait. It's going to be so much fun. And yeah, I think it's actually really smart to release the content, over time. I think it makes the season more interesting, and yeah, I'm with Jedi. I'm really excited.
Yeah, absolutely. If they do piecemeal deliver out some of this content, that would be ideal. But if they piecemeal deliver out these hot fixes, again, awesome. There's definitely some issues with the game. We know that need fixing. But it is pretty. Look, the bones of the game are solid. We've complained a lot, but we've also had a lot of praise for what 343 has done with Halo Infinite. They've delivered, not completely, but almost. And the campaign, I am super looking forward to what they do with DLC in the campaign later on. And it looks to be like we will get some. And so that's also extreme positive. Jack, are you excited about any one part of this season 2 for Halo?
Yeah, I suppose. I mean, broadly speaking, I'm excited for the entirety of it. We're content starved. The drought is. I mean, we don't need to elaborate on it. We've talked about it on this show. I don't think I've ever heard anybody skewer Halo or 343 for its ineptitude or mismanagement as much as we have. We tend to make sure we get our own over the calls too. Yeah, I guess I would broadly say I'm excited for all of it because I think all of it is needed. I think all of it is in anything that is like additive or multiplicative to the Halo experience. Obviously, you want to see it. I think this time I'm less particular with precisely what it is. Because I am so dissatisfied with the lack of content, and sort of the way that Halo's been handled as a flagship franchise that's synonymous with the brand. I think it's egregious. I think it was a magnanimous failure, and I'm not happy with it. So I'm excited for all of it. I think every bit of it will add something to the Halo experience in one way or another. I know we're all going to be playing co-op, trying to get that legendary achievement in less than 8 hours, and television sets and controllers will be broken by the end of it. Yeah, right. So
I'm going to do it in 4, bro. That'll be done in 4.
Yeah, well, I think Pete's already ordered a sacrificial television. He knows it's coming.
A sacrificial television.
He does, yes. And so I think and Forge obviously is going to be great. That allows individual Halo player to customize and tailor their own Halo experience, to build what they want, where they want, when they want to do it. I think the multiplayer implications that obviously are manifold. And I think some very interesting things are gonna develop along those lines. It's just great. I think the concept of a BR, as much as I hate to tell Dr. Disrespect, he was right. I think we do need a battle royale. I don't think we need.
Unfortunately, it's unfortunate we got to say that, right? It's unfortunate we got to give him the credit of being right, but it's the fact that we didn't have the content though.
Yeah, and Risket was right. Blame Bonnie Ross. It's only her ineptitude at this juncture could possibly make that man correct about anything. So I think Risket's right. I think he's placed the blame right. I think, there's only so much we can beat ourselves up about because the Halo community, I mean, including, guys like Mint Blitz and Footed Ghost and all these, great Halo content creators. Like, they've not given the game a pass. They've expressed their dissatisfaction, bewilderment, and share, how incredulous the situation is to them. So I think this is all a step in the right direction, and I think it's definitely in the right direction, only because of how many steps in the wrong direction we've allowed this franchise to move. So I'm optimistic, and I think it'll be great. I think we can look forward to all of it across the board.
Doobie's got a question in the chat. Doobie, I will get to your question, but I wanted to get back to this just quickly, and then we'll move on to the show for those who have seen it. There might be slight spoilers. We'll try to keep it spoiler-free, but just quickly, with this certain affinity and talking about the Battle Royale, that is what we're talking about when it's a possible drop. We're talking about Tatanka possibly being a Battle Royale. And you're absolutely right, Jack. I think that the Battle Royale is only needed as content. Like, it's not even needed. Just content is needed.
Yeah.
And the great thing about it is this last season, for some reason, they were holding back modes we know they had. They had attrition. There's no reason to hold that back. Allow that to be out there in the community. Give us another mode to play. So that's all really positive coming from Joe Staten. So, Doovie, your question, is the Halo series going to be a love story, and how pissed off will you be if it does?
Look, I don't know. I mean, I love Master Chief like a lot. And
Master Cheeks. Master Cheeks.
Another one of my creations.
I think I saw on Twitter there's like a butt bingo. It's like whoever's butt you see in the episode, you like tick it off.
Ooh, Spartan glutes?
Yeah.
Yeah, we were talking about having a shot every time your cheeks showed, and you'd be absolutely pissed. Yeah.
You know what? I think
We'd be
people
drunk
really
though because of Cortana. Aren't her isn't her ass like on permanently on display?
No, she's clothed. She's clothed. That's one of my bugbears.
I don't know. That looks like naked coding. I mean,
she should not be clothed. It's an absolutely egregious move away from
Halo 4 Cortana for life.
Yeah.
All right, guys, settle down. No, I think, they got a lot of flack for, taking his helmet off, like, in the first, however many minutes of the first episode. I think, they're telling a story, and he is a character, he's a person, we're looking at his feelings, his humanity. So I think, I don't think it's going to turn into a love story, but if it does, get over it.
If it's in there, that's, look, I think you can see it kind of happening. It's in there, you're going to get close, maybe they're going to do it. Maybe they're going to play with it in season 1 and see how we react to it and move it through to season 2, season 3. But if
I don't want to give anything away, but where they were during that scene, it was beautiful.
Yeah. If they do it, I'm not going to be pissed off, because what I have come to with this last episode is it's not like a Halo in the gaming universe story. Totally different story.
Correct.
And look, they took us to places last episode where I was super happy to see, and they played a little bit of the music. They haven't quite got there. I just want to hear it. But they played a little bit of the music, and it's starting to feel a little bit like Halo, different way. And look, I'm starting to like it. What did you think of it, Jack? Did you enjoy the episode? Did you get a chance to watch it?
Yes, I did. I enjoyed. So here's what I did enjoy, because I read the books. I enjoy a lot of seeing that sort of bureaucratically political infighting among the military establishment, right? The conflict between Parangosky and Halsey and all. It's very it does keep in line with the books. So I was very pleased to be able to see that, and how, because that is a central critical plot element in a lot of these Halo books, because I've read them all, and I enjoyed very much. So I like that. But again, and it goes to what Doom was saying, and it goes almost to what you were saying, Risket, where you said you were okay with it. I don't want to say I'm too much of a Halo purist, but I know that for a fact that Umbra, Pete and I are very much of the opinion that it is very alien, right, to see Master Chief. They're talking about all these that he is not supposed to have emotions. He is not supposed to have love interest. He is not.
Right.
Yeah, but that's why he took his chip out. He took his chip out.
But he is
put that in there for a reason.
Right, he has to have the chip back in. The chip has to get back in there. He's got to become the man, and that's why I'm cutting it slack, because I think the last 2 episodes were the best ones they've released, 5 and 6. I don't think it's a bad show, because I can see a sort of narrative path forward to rectifying the show, or to seeing where they could go.
I don't think it's going to do what you want it to, though, Jack. I don't think it's going to do that. So if you're hoping for it to bring itself back to the Halo
and that
universe,
would be a deciding factor for me. That would if you fundamentally change the Chief, right? If you take something that sacrosanct to all of us, as Xbox gamers, and you leave it like that, in my opinion, you have effectively bastardized a beloved character, and if you don't change it, you've bastardized him beyond salvation. I'm hoping they and with each the last 2 subsequent episodes, even the 3rd one where we got to see a little more Bokeem Woodbine's character Saren, I think it was actually the last 3. They sort of seem to be working towards fixing that. Chief's got to find himself. Chief's got to understand this. You got to remember Chief. And that's where I think they're going, and I think they've made positive steps. But ultimately, the Chief has to get to a point where that helmet stays on, where the longest conversation you have with him is a 7 or 8 sentence conversation arc, and then they need to get into the action. They need to delve into the mystery a little bit more. I really like the Covenant scenes, being able to see what's going on at High Charity behind the scenes. I don't know where I am on McKee. Believe it or not, I kind of like her character. This sort of human. I do. Yeah. I like this human saboteur for the Covenant. I think.
I'm still not liking it. Still not down with that.
Right, and I didn't like her at first. I didn't like her
at first either. This newest episode kind of like
I don't like the interactions between Chief and kind of maybe right at the end there.
I'm talking about McKee vis-a-vis the Prophets, and you know what I mean.
Right.
I don't like the idea that Chief.
I like her better than that other girl with the terrible haircut.
Yeah, can we just get rid of her? She hasn't been around, so let's just get her.
How good was that episode? Because Quan wasn't in it at all.
So good.
Like that's what made the episode so good. I did say last week that I'm letting it go, and I'm realizing that this isn't made for us gamers. They're going for a new audience, and that's what people have got to come to realize. It's what I've realized, Jack, and it's why I'm letting it go. And this episode was great for me. I really enjoyed it. I enjoy where the show's going. I've let all of that go. Yes, it's not Halo lore. They're not sticking to lore. Chief is completely different since he's taken his chip out, and that's fine.
You can change a lot, but if you leave the Chief something completely antithetical to everything we've ever understood him to be, and that whole new generation thing, I understand that. I'm almost 30. We're getting to be a little bit. I'm almost getting to be a dinosaur with gaming. I understand that. But let alone your 73 years. So it's a little, even I'm starting to feel it. But you can't. There's only so many creative liberties you can take with a character of that magnitude.
I understand. I understand your fears. There's a whole backstory to Master Chief, and the Spartans in general. But I feel like potentially, the way the story could go is he could have, he's taken out his chip, he does all the human stuff, blah blah blah. We look into his past, and then maybe he'll come to the realization that.
That's what I'm hoping. And he shit cans it and then becomes the murderous, that's what I'm hoping. That's what I want. I want him to
be the murderous robot we've known him to be.
Turn into a silent, genocidal alien killing machine. That's what I want.
He'll never be silent.
But you know what? He's still a murdering machine. You saw him even after the chip. He was just decimated.
I don't know. Even that always felt a little like, you mind if I drive? Like, Chief's not going to say that to a grunt at the wheel. He's just going to shoot his ass.
You say he doesn't need the puns and all that.
Look, it's a TV show. There needs to be an element of entertainment and that dialogue, So like Becky and Pete have said, there needs to be. It's for a different audience,
Yeah, I do agree there. It's because of the different medium that you have to give it a little leeway on the things he would say and not say. I'll say this. The taking off the helmet thing, I'm with you 100%, Jack. And I say that simply because they're having them take it. I said this before. The way that they're filming it and cutting it, You have him putting his helmet on at one point and taking it off almost immediately right after, right in the battlefield. It's like, why are you doing that? Mm-hmm. Just have the man fight and keep the helmet on in the battlefield. And then when he's off the battlefield and in the barracks, wherever he's at, okay, fine.
Yeah, have it off. Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, just quit having him take it off every 2 seconds. It's unnecessary. We get it.
Yeah, and it brings attention to it, like, unnecessarily. Look, it's been a massive show this week.
Like it.
I do have to round it up because people have lives, so they've got to get on to what they're doing. And you guys in the chat, you've been absolutely amazing. Thank you all for all the new people that came, but especially to all the guys who have been with us from the very beginning. You guys are absolutely amazing, like Grey Monad, Doovie. It's C. Steph, even though we all don't like him very much.
Don't call out it's C. Steph. Have you read his things in the chat? Wow.
Boba Fett, Bushido, Mr. Too Opinionated. If I've missed anyone, guys, Udani Quest, guys, you've been amazing sticking with us. And all the new people, we do this every week. If you've not subscribed, hit subscribe, hit the like button. We'll be back next week at the same time talking about this. But before I do go, I want to get people's, and I'll give you mine at the end. I want to get what people think vis-a-vis Umbra. It's a great idea. What your opener is for the show and what your closer will be. So, opening the show, Doom, Cutie. What game do you think we'll see? And closing the show, what game do you think we'll see?
That's really hard.
That's what they all say.
I was just going to say this what she said. I stopped myself. I had to bite my tongue.
Sorry. Please do go. Please.
Those no pills.
Look, I'm gonna say they'll open the show with Starfield.
Yeah.
And then I think they'll close the show with. I don't know. Oh my god. I don't know.
Shot in the dark.
I think the end of the show will be CGI from something we haven't seen.
A new game.
I like that.
Okay.
I like that.
Okay.
Umbra, what do you think?
Yeah, that'd be cool.
I think the opener will be Hellblade 2 because we've seen it already. We know about it, and they're just going to actually show new gameplay. Outside of that cinematic gameplay we saw that was questionable if it was CGI or not. And I think the closer will be Fable because the whole show will go past and we'll be like, I guess Fable won't be shown. And then they'll have, here. And we're proud to introduce the actual gameplay from Playground Games, blah, blah, blah. And right after maybe Forza Motorsport or something was shown. And then here we go, Playground Games. And it'll show Fable and it'll show it either gameplay or in engine, how it looks.
I like that. That's the very good reasons for what you're saying there. I like it. Jack?
I have two theories. I think they will open with Starfield and close with it with a bunch in the middle. I think they will do just to drive Starfield home. They will open.
That's what Monad just said.
Yep, I just saw that and I was like, I agree. I think they could do that. I could definitely see Starfield being both. You look at the logo; it's clearly Starfield. That is the emphasis of emphasis in ways we've not seen before. So I could see that happening, or I could see them opening with Starfield. And I could see them closing with something really obviously not like Elder Scrolls, but something so out of left field, such a surprise, kind of like what Umbra said, with a new IP. I could see that happening.
Absolutely. Pete?
Open with Hellblade, close with Starfield.
Right.
Nice.
Any reasons for those?
Because Hellblade is going to set the tone with its visual greatness. It's going to look amazing. And because the whole show is about Starfield, look at the banner. It's basically going to be a 15-minute run of gameplay. Let's face it, everybody's wanting to see Starfield gameplay. It's all the talk around the industry. Bethesda's new IP in 15 or 20 years or whatever it is. The show's gonna revolve around that, and what a way to end.
25, isn't it? 25 years or something stupid like that?
Yeah, 25 years.
That they've been, and it's a passion project, though.
Look, well, mine is, and I don't know, you guys have given great start and finishes, and it kind of makes you think about yours. But what I would like to see is I'd like to see them open with Contraband and the coolness of like the 70s. So it kind of sets the happiness tone, like hell yeah, like we got some 70s music. I don't think they'll do that. I think they'll open with Starfield or Avowed. I'd like to see them open with Avowed also.
Avowed will be there, yeah.
And I think absolutely, at the end of the show, it has to be unannounced. And I am going to put a bet on now. Not a bet, but I'm just going to make a call. I think it's going to be the IO Dragon project. I think that's what they will close with.
Not the Bethesda Star Wars one that they're talking about?
Nah, definitely not. Mandalorian too early. I think that they'll definitely
crazy.
Yeah, they'll definitely do that.
What if they did show that? What if they did show like
I could see them closing with the Indiana Jones theme song. Dun, 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 dun. I think I could see that.
That's possible. That's possible. Yeah,
there's so much.
Maybe a new IP.
That would be cute.
I would like that. Yeah, I would like that a lot.
All right, well, look, guys, it's been an absolutely amazing show, and as you can hear, we could probably get going on this showcase once again, but we won't. You guys have all been amazing. Like I said, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Until next week, we are out. I will do the outros. Doom Cutie, thank you for coming along. You've been absolutely amazing. Thank you for your takes. Just let the people know where they can find you, what you're up to, so on and so forth, what you'll be playing.
Oh, thank you so much for having me here, Bicky. I've really enjoyed my time. You guys are incredible, so knowledgeable, and your vocabulary is on point. So thank you. What am I going to be playing? I don't know. Not really. I don't know. Finishing off the Halo Infinite, probably, and where you can find me. Well, I'm using Twitter more than I ever have, so go find Doom Cutie, but the I is a 1 because I was taken apparently. So hit me up on Twitter, but I'm mostly on Instagram, and that's just Doom_Cutie at Instagram. So yeah, but thank you. The chat's been amazing, and you guys I've had a great time. Just saying.
Yeah, we've really enjoyed having you, Cutie. Loved your input, mate.
Yeah, we'll go to Pete. Pete's, once again, every week. I know you had a bit of a rough week and didn't get to play much as you'd like to, but you still turn up every week and help us hold down the show, mate. So thank you very much, and let us know where we can find you, what you're up to, and what you'll be playing.
Yeah, thank you, mate, and thanks to everyone in the chat today. The chat was absolutely on fire today, except for Sid Steph. He's a moron. And I'll say that every week.
You fucking prick, Steph.
We love you, Steph.
But I am going to finish the final boss in Elden Ring, and
no, you're
then
not.
I am going to play Doom. I'm going to play Halo. I mean, what else am I going to play? Season 2 drops in 4 days.
It all comes back to
Cannot
this.
wait. Yeah, cannot wait. I mean, it just can't come soon enough. So very, very easy decision for me.
Absolutely, Jack. Another fantastic week. We've had another fantastic show. Thank you for coming along and holding us down. Let us know where we can find you, what you're up to, what you're playing.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at same name here, the Jack Astronaut. Currently playing the I don't want to say remade or remastered, the modernized, I should say, variant of Control. With the DLC, so I'm working my way through that, and I am in love with that game. It's criminally underrated, in my opinion. And yeah, obviously, Halo, I'll be chopping it up with you and getting killed by Red Dead Panda alongside you gentlemen, so if she's here, she'll hear that. And yeah, no, obviously, and I try to say it every week so the chat knows, especially because we had a really active chat today. You guys were great. The guys talk about you all the time. And a lot of the time on these shows, when they say thank you to the chat, it's sort of lip service bullshit. But for us, it really isn't. You guys are awesome. Just seeing you guys come through, the same names plus new names, it just means the world to us, fellas. So thanks for just being here along this ride with us and supporting us. And we look forward to seeing you next week. And again, thanks to everybody else here. Doom, thank you for rolling through and enduring us for all we put you through. And we look forward to interacting with you again. Yeah, absolutely. It'd be super cool.
Fantastic. Umbra, again, thanks for coming through, holding down the show. Your takes are always amazing with your silky smooth tones. Let us know where we can find you. She's already giggling.
I call them the Men's Warehouse.
That's the Umbra effect. Let us know where we can find you, what you're up to, what you'll be playing.
Oh yeah, girl. I'm sorry. I was still in the mood. I'm sorry. No, seriously, Doom Kitty, thank you. Yeah, Doomy, thank you for coming through and spending time with us. It was a pleasure to actually hear you and meet you. I loved your takes too. We got to have you back sometime soon, and I want you to grow yourself on Twitter as well, and get acclimated to everyone, and get in our circles, but try to stay out of the hooved circles, because I don't want you to lose yourself and what you are right now. You have this innocence about you, and they will absolutely taint you. I'm just warning you now, but. Absolutely had fun with you all talking about this, and we could go on for hours. I could still talk about this right now with the whole showcase coming up. And I want to thank everybody in the chat for coming through and supporting us, holding us down. I looked at one point at another podcast, and it's a well-known podcast, and we were outpacing them as far as people being in our chat and theirs.
Ooh, fire!
So,
love it.
Yeah, I smiled on that one a little bit.
It's the Doom Cutie effect.
Absolutely.
Oh,
It's all thanks to
okay.
you.
I'm gonna coin that. There we go.
But absolutely, thank you, chat, all of my guys that came through, all our fellas and our friends and fellow podcasters, and of course, thank you all, Jedi, Pete. Why did I say Pete when I just said Jedi? Jedi, Risk, and Jack for holding me down and coming through always as well, and giving great thoughts and making me laugh and making my Fridays enjoyable. And for everybody else, Xbox gamers and everybody else, rejoice! Our showcase is among us.
The promised land.
The promised land.
And dreams of power.
2023 is going to be the best year for Microsoft gaming, I think, that we've
Agreed.
ever had.
Yes.
Unequivocally.
Look,
yes.
You can find me up there at Risk4TB on Twitter. You can find me here, obviously, on YouTube. You can occasionally find me on Twitch, but it's pretty rare. I will be streaming this week on YouTube, just for a laugh. If you caught my last
little girly voices.
If you caught my last stream, it was me acting as a little girl, so it was quite interesting. I'll never do that again.
Okay.
I'll never do that again. And look, as to what I'm playing, I've just finished Mafia Definitive Edition, and I will be getting Mafia 2. I've got the Alan Wake remaster, and I'm going through that. And of course, if Sumo's listening, the only thing I play is Halo, so I'll be on Halo a hell of a lot, and just absolutely having all my kills stolen by JediKnightPete and Red Dead Panda. I will see you all next week. And again, thank you to the chat, thank you to the guest, and thank you to the panel. You guys have been amazing. We are out of here. Catch you later.